The story begins in the city of Yunu, where we see a very luxurious and grand hotel, a 5-star super hotel, the kind where the soap probably costs more than your phone. At that moment, the scene changes to the inside of a hotel room where in the bathroom a girl is showering. Meanwhile, in the room, a man named Feng Kaio is standing. Feng Kaio gently lifts that girl's dress and smells it in a very perverted way, the ultimate red flag. On his face is an evil smile, and he thinks to himself, "Yiayo, in the end, I will make you mine." The classic villain monologue. Just as he is lost in his twisted thoughts, the doorbell suddenly rings and a voice is heard from outside. "Sir, your food delivery has arrived." Hearing this, Feng Kaio gets a little irritated and while walking towards the door comments, "I'm coming." As soon as the door opens, we see a delivery person standing outside, and that delivery person is our main character, Yi Chen. With much respect, he says, "Sir, your food delivered." But before he can finish his sentence, his gaze drifts into the room. At that moment, the bathroom door opens, and Yiayo comes out with a towel wrapped around her and her hair wet. She looks at Feng Kaio and asks, "Feng Kaio, did you bring my clothes?" But then her gaze falls on Yi Chen, who is standing at the door, and she freezes in surprise, the caught in 4K moment. On the other hand, Yi Chen is also stunned. His mind goes blank, and from the impact, the food package falls from his hands to the floor. Seeing this, Feng Kaio shouts angrily, "Hey!" At this moment, Yiayo, upon seeing Yi Chen, suddenly exclaims, "Honey!" Hearing this, Feng Kaio is confused. "Honey?" Then Feng Kaio understands who this delivery person really is. He looks Yi Chen up and down and declares with a mocking smile, "So Yiayo, your useless husband turned out to be a food delivery guy." Laughing, he feels proud of his luck and thinks to himself, "I can't believe I ordered from Yiayo's pathetic husband." The universe's ironic sense of humor. At this moment, Yi Chen's anger finally erupts. Looking directly into Yiayo's eyes, he expresses the pain in his heart. "Wan Yiayo, I spent 3 years in your family. 3 times a day, I fed your family." His voice grows even heavier when he mentions, "In these last 3 years, you didn't even let me touch your hand." With this, we are shown a flashback where Yiayo always ignored Yi Chen and told him, "Don't come near me, go sleep on the floor." The ultimate friend-zoned husband treat. Returning from the flashback, Yi Chen shouts with anger and pain, "I always thought you were a woman of principle, but today you're having fun with another man." With tears in his eyes, he asks, "Why did you do this?" But on Yiayo's face, there isn't a trace of shame. With a cold tone, she comments, "Why? Because my husband is just an ordinary food delivery guy." She points proudly at Feng Kaio and declares, "Do you know who he is? The CEO of the Feng investment firm, the young master of the Feng family, a first-class family in Yunu whose assets are in the billions." Then looking at Yi Chen with disdainful eyes, she says, "Only men like him are worthy of me, not poor people like you." The Gold Digger Manifesto. Seizing this opportunity, Feng Kaio puts his hand on Yiayo's shoulder and tells Yi Chen arrogantly. Then insulting him further, he says, "If you kneel here and apologize, I'll give you a 5-star rating," the ultimate power move of a petty villain. Hearing this, Yi Chen thinks to himself, "You two are so shameless just because you're rich." At this moment, Feng Kaio, moving closer to Yiayo, comments, "Yiayo, don't worry about him, it's just the two of us." But before he can finish his sentence, Yi Chen steps forward and with all his strength, grabs Feng Kaio's neck and shouts, "Stop, you damned animal." Feng Kaio begins to choke and screams in pain. "Ah, it hurts, let me go." Seeing this, Yiayo, on the contrary, starts yelling at Yi Chen. "Yi Chen, how dare you lay a hand on him?" And threatening him, she declares, "If you don't leave right now, I'll call security." At this moment, Yi Chen, seeing his wife protecting that man, breaks inside. Then Yi Chen remembers his past, where in a flashback his grandfather says, "This is the fiancée I chose for you." He thinks to himself, "When I first saw her, I thought I would have a happy life with her." But returning to the present, he thinks, "All that was just my wishful thinking." Before leaving, he gives Yiayo one last warning. "Wan Yiayo, I hope one day you won't regret this." And turning around, he walks out. As soon as he leaves, Yiayo shouts, "Regret. The biggest regret of my life is having a useless husband like you." After this, the scene changes, and we go outside where Chen sits on his scooter. Then his phone rings. He answers the phone and says in a subdued voice, "Hello, Tantan Delivery." And from the other side of the phone comes the calm but respectable voice of an old man who declares, "Third young master, your 3-year character test as a son-in-law in the Wan family officially ends today." Hearing this, Yi Chen falls silent for a moment, and the old man continues. "The next test is a business test. The old master has already acquired the Jiasheng group, and arrangements have been made to appoint you as chairman." And at this moment, it becomes clear that Yi Chen is not an ordinary delivery person, but a billionaire heir who is only undergoing a test, the ultimate secretly op reveal. Yi Chen's facial expressions gradually change. His anger calms, and with a tranquil tone he says, "Okay, I understand." After saying this, the old man asks with a bit of doubt, "The old master also wants to know how you're getting along with the young lady. Should we formally accept her into the family and make her one of the heirs?" Hearing this, Yi Chen's face hardens, and without thinking, he immediately responds, "No need, she's not worth it." And saying this, he hangs up the phone. After this, the scene changes to 8 p.m. in the Xincheng residential community of Yunu, where we see, on one side, Yayo and on the other, Yi Chen packing his luggage. Then Yayo arrives and with a cold and sarcastic tone comments, "Are you thinking of running away from home? It's really worth it over something so small." Hearing her words, Yi Chen stops and asks her a direct question. "You think cheating is just something small?" Faced with this question from Yi Chen, Yayo doesn't feel the slightest bit of shame. Instead, showing even more attitude, she says clearly, "And what do you expect, that I apologize to you?" Then, as if doing him a favor, she continues, "You eat our food, drink our water, and live in our house. Even if I did something wrong to you, you'll have to tolerate it." Hearing such shameless words, Yi Chen's patience finally breaks, and he shouts angrily, "Wan Yayo, I have tolerated your Wan family. For 3 years, your mom and dad publicly insulted and hit me countless times, and not once did I respond." The suppressed anger of years pours out in his voice when he says, "Your uncle and his sons bullied me, and all of you acted as if you saw nothing. You never even let me touch you, and I respected that too." And he continues, "That was because I cared about you, but from today on, I don't want to tolerate all this anymore." Then, making his decision clear in simple words, Yi Chen declares, "Wan Yayo, let's get a divorce." Hearing the word divorce, Yayo is shocked and shouts angrily, "Yi Chen, how dare you ask me for a divorce?" And then, trying to scare and humiliate him, she comments, "If you weren't so useless, why would I? And let me tell you, I'm not kidding. After the divorce, you won't be able to live in a 100 square meter luxury apartment, and you won't be able to drive an Audi." Hearing this threat, Yi Chen lets out a cold, sarcastic laugh and mentions, "A luxury apartment and Audi, I don't need them." And shouting even louder with rage, she says, "Fine, divorce. I don't know what Grandpa was thinking when he married me to a loser like." Without losing a second, Yi Chen responds directly, "Then let's go tomorrow morning to the civil affairs office and get divorced." But then Yayo, stopping a little, comments, "Tomorrow won't be possible. Tomorrow is Grandma's birthday, and the whole family must gather at her house before 10 a.m. Then, continuing the conversation clearly, she says, "And this decision was made by the older generation. First, I have to discuss this with my family." Hearing this, Yi Chen only says, "Then explain it to your family as soon as possible. I'll wait for your call." Saying this, he takes his bag and starts to leave without looking back. From behind, Yayo screams like crazy, "Bastard loser, you'll definitely regret divorcing me. In just a few days, you'll come crawling back and beg me." But Yi Chen, completely ignoring her words, walks out of the house where it is raining heavily. He stands in the rain when his phone rings again. He answers the call and says, "Hello." And from the other side, the same old man says, "Young master, the car is waiting for you on the corner." Hearing this, Yi Chen turns to look, and there isn't just one, but an entire convoy of black Rolls-Royces parked. Next to each car are bodyguards dressed in black suits who, upon seeing Yi Chen, bow simultaneously and shout loudly, "Young master." The rain becomes more intense. Then a bodyguard steps forward and offers an umbrella. "Young master, umbrella." But Yi Chen refuses it and comments, "No need. The rain helps me clear my mind." Then another bodyguard steps forward and puts an expensive coat over Yi Chen's shoulders. And as soon as he puts on that coat, his entire aura changes, the glow-up scene. Then in a loud voice, he gives just one order, "Let's go." And as soon as the convoy moves, the people around are shocked to see this scene. From the crowd come voices, "Wow, Rolls-Royce." And someone else shouts, "They're all Rolls-Royces. What's happening?" From above, Yayo also hears this noise from the apartment window and looks down below. Confused, she thinks to herself, "Why are so many Rolls-Royces passing by here? Did some very important person come?" She has no idea that this important person is the same one she just kicked out of the house, the dramatic irony. With this, we are told about the Yi family. The world only knows mysterious families like the Rothschilds, DuPonts, and Morgans, but the most mysterious family is actually the Yi family, whose assets are over 100 billion. Yet they remain very discreet, and you won't find their name on any rich list, the ultimate hidden dragons trope. The scene changes, and Yi Chen has already arrived near a helicopter where a bodyguard respectfully says, "Young master, this way." And here we are told how the Yi family prepares its heirs. Candidates of the next generation undergo tests and selection from the age of 3. By age 5, they learn martial arts, piano, and violin simultaneously. And by age 18, they have already completed the 4-year program of an American university's business school. But it's not just studies. To mold their character, the elders of the family give them special tests. At this, Yi Chen remembers that day 3 years ago on the Yi family estate when his grandfather ordered him, "Yi Chen, I am arranging your marriage with the Wan family, a second-class family of Yunu." Returning to the present, Yi Chen, sitting in the helicopter, thinks, "At that time I accepted this test of my own will, but now all that is over." After a while, the helicopter lands on a palace-like mansion. The guards receive him. "Young master, welcome back." And so he has returned to his true home and his true identity. Looking towards the mansion, he thinks to himself, Yi Chen has returned. The scene changes again to the next morning at 10 a.m. in the Villasishan area of Yunu, where the birthday of the old lady of the Wan family is being celebrated, and everyone is giving their congratulations. "Grandma, happy birthday," and "Mom, may you live 200 years. Then someone from the crowd asks Yayo, "Hey, that loser Yi Chen didn't come." Yayo hesitates a bit and comments, "He probably went to work." Hearing this, Wan Junyi and Wan Maoyan laugh and say, "Work." Delivering food, Wan Junyi says angrily, "He's a stain on our Wan family. Once he crashed into my Mercedes and I didn't have the courage to tell my friends he's our relative." Hearing all this, the old lady Wan gets furious and orders, "Call him here right now. He has no manners." Seeing Grandma's anger, Yayo panics and says, "Grandma, today he didn't come because we're getting a divorce." Hearing this, Grandma shouts, shocked, "What divorce? Who gave you permission to divorce? Did you forget that your late grandfather arranged your marriage?" Faced with this, Yayo immediately starts her crying drama. She falls to her knees and says, "Grandpa, I don't dare go against Grandpa's last wish." But Yi Chen crossed the line. He is having an affair with another woman outside. Hearing these words from Yayo, Grandma becomes even more furious and declares angrily, "That animal. For 3 years we gave him a mansion to live in, gave him luxury cars to drive." Then Wan Junyi intervenes and says, "Yayo, don't be offended because your older brother is saying this, but in this you also have some blame. 3 years have passed since your marriage, but you never let him touch you." But Grandma's anger, instead of decreasing, increases more. With a firm voice she declares, "No matter what Yayo or he have done, Yi Chen still has no right to look for another woman. Bring that animal here right now. Today I'll show him the justice of our family." Hearing Grandma's order, Yayo says fearfully, "Yes," and quickly makes the call. When the call connects, Yi Chen asks from the other side, "What is it?" And Yayo arrogantly comments, "Grandma wants you to come." But Yi Chen, without thinking, responds directly, "I'm not coming." And saying this, he hangs up. Seeing this, Yayo fills with rage and thinks to herself, "How dare he hang up on me?" Then she informs Grandma, "He's not coming." Hearing this, Grandma's temper completely flares up and she declares angrily, "The value of a live-in son-in-law is no more than that of a dog, and yet he has the audacity to throw a tantrum. Junyi, you go and bring him here by force." Junyi happily says, "Okay." Saying this, he leaves. After Junyi leaves, Grandma addresses everyone and says, "Today I called you all early because yesterday at the Jiasheng group, a new chairman arrived. No one knows who he is or where he came from." Then she explains, "Right now we are negotiating a 70 million funding deal, but the contract hasn't been signed yet. Everyone knows that our Dinshin real estate has always collaborated with the Jiasheng group. That's why building good relations with the new chairman of the Jiasheng group is the most important thing for the future of our Wan family." On the other hand, the scene changes where we see Yi Chen, and his bodyguard asks, a little confused, "Young master, why are you still wearing the delivery clothes?" Faced with this, Yi Chen responds in a calm tone, "Today is the last day of my contract as a delivery person. I want to finish what I started." And he thinks to himself that it's not yet time to reveal his identity. It's easier to see the enemy in the open when I'm in the shadow. Then suddenly his phone rings, and there we see Wan Junyi, who comes in his car to look for Yi Chen. On the call he says, "Hello Yi Chen, it's Wan Junyi. Where are you? Let's talk." And Yi Chen, without fear, responds calmly, "I'm delivering food in the Luyan residential community." Wan Junyi, with a cold laugh, says, "I'm coming there right now. Wait for me." And shortly after, Junyi brings his car at full speed. He arrives near Yi Chen and brakes hard. Then he rolls down the car window and says with an arrogant attitude, "Get in the car. Grandma wants to see you." Hearing this, Yi Chen, without stopping, responds directly, "Even if your grandma supports Wan Yayo, it's pointless. I'm getting a divorce anyway." Hearing Yi Chen's words, Wan Junyi gets furious and shouts angrily, "Are you crazy? My grandma is going to support you. She wants to give you family justice." Faced with this, Yi Chen calmly asks, "Family justice based on what?" Hearing this question, Junyi becomes even angrier and pointing his finger blames him. "Based on you looking for a woman outside. No matter what Wan Yayo is, she's still a member of the Wan family. You wronged the Wan family, so you deserve to die." Hearing this, Yi Chen slowly takes off his helmet and asks in surprise, "I look for a woman outside. That's what Wan Yayo said." And in the next moment, he can't contain his laughter and laughs out loud. Seeing his laughter, Junyi, annoyed, asks, "What are you laughing at?" Then Yi Chen's face becomes completely serious and he thinks angrily to himself, "Wan Yayo, that shameless woman. Even bullying has a limit." Seeing Yi Chen's changing aura, Junyi's heart feels a little fear and he thinks to himself, "What's happening? Why did Yi Chen's expression suddenly become so terrifying, as if a superior is looking down on everyone?" But then he convinces himself, "No, I'm definitely seeing wrong. How can this useless trash have such an aura?" Hearing this, Junyi opens the car door and gets out threateningly. "It seems your skin is itching again." And he advances to attack Yi Chen. "I'm going to beat you up." But before he can raise his hand, Yi Chen turns and delivers a powerful kick to his face, making Junyi scream in pain. "Ah," and with anger he says, "You trash, you dared to fight back." Saying this, he takes a knife from his pocket and shouts, "I'm going to carry out family justice for Grandma. I'm going to cut you and kill you." And saying this, he begins to attack quickly with the knife. Slash, slash, slash. But Yi Chen, with great ease, dodges all his attacks and with a precise hit strikes his hand, making the knife fall. Immediately after, Yi Chen unleashes a rain of punches, brutally hitting Junyi's face. In just a few seconds, Junyi falls to the ground and screams in pain. "Ow, ow." After leaving Junyi in a bad state, Yi Chen gives him a cold warning. "Go back and tell the Wan family that I am no longer their dog who comes when called and leaves when signaled. No one can give me orders unless I want it." Lying on the ground, Junny shouts angrily, You live in son-in-law, just wait. The scene changes and we see the view of the Wanjeo hotel. There the old lady Wan is waiting and then Junny also arrives. Seeing him, she says happily, Junny, always so efficient. But then Junny staggers out of the car and cries, Grandma. Seeing Junny's swollen face, Grandma is shocked and asks, My good grandson, who hit you like this? Who beat you? Junny, crying, complains, Grandma, it was that useless husband of Wan Yeaya who hit. Hearing this, Junny's father, Wan Yeachin, who is standing nearby, turns red with anger and declares, That useless thing dared to hurt you. I want him dead. Then he says, Let's call the police, Grandma. Faced with this, Grandma, shaking her head, explains, This is a family matter. Don't worry. I'll definitely make him receive the punishment he deserves. If we call the police, this shameful matter will easily spread through the news. Then Grandma turns to Yeachin and orders, Yeachin, I know you have some friends in the underworld. Let them teach that animal a hard lesson and bring him back before me. There Yi Chen is walking. Then two big thugs block his way and ask, Are you Yi Chen? Come with us. Seeing them, Yi Chen understands and comments, The Wan family sent people again, right? Today is my last day delivering food. I'm not going anywhere. Hearing his words, the thug says angrily, You're refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. First, break his hands, then we'll talk. And both attack him, but in the next moment, only screams are heard. And after beating them all, Yi Chen checks his delivery bag and sighs in relief, saying, Luckily, the work wasn't affected. But then one of the thugs, with courage, gets up to attack from behind and shouts, Wait. Hearing this, Yi Chen, without turning, just throws a powerful punch backward, making that thug fly through the air and fall far away, lying there motionless. Yi Chen checks his bag again and says, Luckily, the food is okay. After this, he gets on his scooter and heading towards the next destination, comments, Only one last order left. Huan Yan nervously informs his mother, Mom, the professional fighters I hired were taken down by Yi Chen. The old Madame Wan is shocked and furious. Is there no one who can handle that beast? Nearby guests murmur in surprise. My God, could that useless live-in son-in-law actually be a martial artist? An elderly man nearby speaks up. Madame, Mr. Ma Kun, the general agent for Tuan Delivery, has come to offer his birthday congratulations. Hearing the name, Yeachin says, Isn't he Yi Chen's boss? Mom, I have a good idea. Ma Kun enters holding expensive wine. He approaches respectfully. Madame, I heard you enjoy drinking. Here is a bottle of 1990 Romanée Conti for you. Happy birthday, I wish you a long and healthy life. Madame Wan accepts the gift, her face downcast. Thank you, President Ma. Ma Kun notices her mood. Madame Wan, what's wrong? You seem upset. Madame Wan takes a deep breath. President Ma, I'm afraid you'll laugh, but our Wan family is facing a serious domestic problem. Yeachin interjects. It's because of Yi Chen, the live-in son-in-law. Ma Kun is surprised. That live-in son-in-law cheated and hurt your young master. He thinks to himself, then laments aloud. It's a pity I don't have many connections here, or I'd teach that ungrateful fool a lesson. Yeachin quickly adds, No, President Ma, you can help. That wretch is your employee. He works for Tuan Delivery. Ma Kun is stunned. Yi Chen is a delivery employee. A confident smile appears on his face. President Wan, leave this matter to me. Ma Kun immediately calls on his phone. Hello, Zio Li. Check employee Yi Chen's number and location. Good, assign him an order right now. Location, Grand Wan Hotel. 15 minutes later, Yi Chen arrives outside. He calls, Mr. Ma, your delivery is here. I'm at the hotel entrance. Ma Kun's voice is cold. Bring it inside. Yi Chen grows suspicious. This is the Wan family's venue, he says politely. Hotel policy doesn't allow couriers inside. Please come out to collect it. Ma Kun replies, Fine, wait there, and hangs up. Outside, Yi Chen hears multiple footsteps. Damn, this is a trap. Ma Kun emerges with Madame Wan and the whole family. Madame Wan, this way, he says respectfully. He walks straight up to Yi Chen. Take off your uniform and credentials now. Yi Chen is confused. What do you mean? Junny laughs loudly. Idiot, this is your top boss, Ma Kun, general agent of Tuan Delivery. Ma Kun adds threateningly, If you don't believe me, I'll have manager Key call you. Yi Chen's phone rings immediately. The manager shouts, Yi Chen, how did you offend President Ma? You're fired. Hearing this, Yi Chen's anger and disappointment explode. I wanted to end this peacefully, but this bastard ruined everything. Ma Kun yells, Hurry up, take it off, you're fired, strip, take it all off. Furious, Yi Chen removes his jacket. Someone recording laughs. Ha ha ha, he looks exactly like a stray dog. Yeachin mocks him. Useless trash, where's your arrogance now? You dared to hit my son, didn't you? Ignoring them, Yi Chen says calmly, Boss Ma, I heard your agency contract with Tuan Delivery expires this. Ma Kun is shocked and angry. How does he know? He feigns confidence. What does that have to do with you? Yi Chen announces, No need to go to the capital to discuss renewal. You won't be an agent anymore. Ma Kun is furious. Who do you think you are? You say I can't be an agent, so I can't. Do you know how close my relationship is with Tuan's CEO? Madame Wan, sitting nearby, intervenes angrily. Yi Chen, you animal, kneel. She announces to the crowd, Today in front of everyone, I will execute family justice on you. First, you cheated and wronged Yao. Then you hit my grandson. Yi Chen refuses clearly. Old lady, keep dreaming. Why would I kneel? Madame Wan reminds him of the past. 3 years ago, when you married into our family, you personally promised me. I ask you, does that old promise of yours still count? That if you ever did something harmful to the Wan family, you would accept our family's justice. Yi Chen stands fearlessly, chest high. What I, Yi Chen, say naturally counts. Madame Wan immediately orders, good, bring the Wan family's joint dragon ruler. Ye Chen quickly responds, yes. A moment later, they bring a shining golden dragon ruler, the ultimate +5 family drama weapon. This punishment weapon is explained, being struck on the face with it causes pain for at least 3 days. A few more strikes and the flesh rots. Madame Wan orders angrily, Ye Chen, hit him 20 times for me. Ye Chen takes the ruler. Yes. Yao's father Wan Yi steps forward. Mother, it was my fault for not disciplining my son-in-law properly. Let me teach him personally. But at that moment, Yao herself arrives and snatches the ruler from her father's hand. Let me do it. He's my husband. Let me hit him. Seeing this, Yi Chen wears a different expression. A sarcastic smile appears. He directly attacks Yao's hypocrisy. First, you cheated and then framed me for cheating. That wasn't enough. Now you want to slap my face too. He doesn't stop but elevates his sarcasm. Wow, what a good wife. I really married a once-in-a-century virtuous wife. The ultimate backhanded compliment. Hearing this bitter truth, Yao's face turns red with anger. But in the next moment, to satisfy her ego and show power, she announces loudly, he is my husband. If anyone is going to hit him, that right is mine alone. She justifies this to herself. Just as she's thinking this, the scene suddenly changes. Junyi, standing nearby, lunges forward and snatches the dragon ruler from Yao's hand. His anger is out of control. His face red, he shouts at Yi Chen, you damn dog. As soon as the weapon is in his hand, Junyi's confidence soars. He advances on Yi Chen with full force. How dare you hit me? Watch me ruin your face today. He swings the ruler through the air. But before it hits Yi Chen, there's a twist. Yi Chen, with lightning speed, catches Junyi's wrist in midair. Before Junyi can react, Yi Chen counterattacks, planting a powerful slap directly on Junyi's face. The slap is so forceful Junyi screams in pain. The talk shit, get hit principle in action. All the guests are shocked. No one can believe the Wan family's live-in son-in-law actually raised a hand against the Wan grandson. People begin to murmur. Oh my god, what just happened? Seeing her grandson hit, Madame Wan's anger peaks. She shouts, do you have any idea how many department heads and directors are here? She threatens him. Those people can have you arrested on the spot and thrown in jail. Despite the grave threat, Yi Chen stands completely relaxed, his mind cold. I believe all the guests here saw clearly. It was Wan Junyi who attacked me with a weapon first. I was only defending myself. A guest steps from the crowd, complicating things. But you just said you were willing to accept the Wan family's justice. Yet when it was time for punishment, you went back on your word. Is that fitting for a man? Others support him. Absolutely right. This guy isn't trustworthy. Yi Chen interrupts them, stating his condition. I am willing to accept the Wan family's justice, on the condition that I have actually done wrong. Hearing this, Madame Wan explodes. You sought women behind Yao's back and hit my grandson. Isn't that enough? Now Yi Chen's patience ends. He puts the truth before everyone. In these 3 years, I loved Wan Yao with all my heart. My attention never strayed. Then he shouts, I'll tell the real truth. The one who cheated is your granddaughter. Yesterday, she took a room with Feng Xiao at the Yihua Hotel. You can check the room records if you want. Hearing the name, an uproar breaks out in the crowd. Everyone is surprised, talking all at once. Feng Xiao, the second young master of the Feng family. Someone else says, I heard long ago the Wan family was looking for a Feng son as a son-in-law. Seems it's true. Gossip spreads. Seeing her reputation trampled, Yao gets nervous and immediately starts covering up. She tells her grandmother and everyone, don't listen to his nonsense. Yesterday, I met Feng Xiao only to discuss business. She defends herself with logic. Everyone knows our Jin Chen real estate is raising capital these days. I only went with young Master Feng to discuss funding. Yi Chen immediately counterattacks. To discuss business, you needed to get a hotel room. To talk, you needed to use a towel. He points at the crowd. Do you take everyone here for fools? The atmosphere is heating up when suddenly some people looking toward the door shout, Hey, young Master Feng has arrived. Another man laughs. Perfect timing. We speak of him and he appears. Feng Xiao arrives and asks, what's going on here with everyone? Seeing Feng Xiao, Yao runs to him, acting the poor victim. Young Master Feng, this live-in son-in-law is forcibly accusing me of having an affair with you. She makes a request. Quick, tell everyone I really only went to discuss business with you yesterday. Hearing Yao's words, Feng Xiao boils with anger inside. This useless freeloader actually exposed my affair with Wan Yao in front of so many people. But outwardly calm, he addresses the crowd. Please, everyone, don't pay attention to this useless Yi Chen's words. Yao and I are innocent. He explains, yesterday, she only came to deliver a document to me. Then, with total arrogance, he turns to Yi Chen and challenges him. You're saying I'm having an affair with Yao. Do you have any evidence? A video? A photo? Saying this, he feels happy inside because he knows the evidence has been deleted. Let's see what this live-in son-in-law has to say now. To make his argument stronger, Feng Xiao creates a new story in front of everyone. He draws the crowd to his side. Who would have thought his attitude would be so terrible? He threw my ordered food on the ground. He concludes, "That's why I gave him a 1-star rating. That's the only reason for his anger." To prove his point, he immediately points out Ma Kun in the crowd. By chance, the Tuan delivery general agent, Boss Ma, is also here. He says to Boss Ma, please check your delivery records from yesterday." Hearing this, Boss Ma takes out his phone and checking confirms, young Master Feng is absolutely correct. Yesterday, he really received a 1-star rating. He gives details. Hearing this, the guests present begin to look at Yi Chen with disdainful eyes and pass comments. Hearing everyone's words, Yi Chen looks directly at Yao and questions, "Why did I throw that delivery on the ground? Won't you help explain this?" But Yao blames him. "This happened because you're not diligent in your work. Your tolerance is too weak." Hearing this from her mouth, Yi Chen starts laughing heartily. He laughs, then throws an indirect remark. "Wow, what a thing, not diligent in your work. What tolerance?" Then he laments in his mind. "Yi Chen, what hopes do you still have for this self-interested woman?" After this, he gets serious and asks in front of everyone, "You all say I sought women outside. Do you have any proof?" Hearing this, Madame Wan looks questioningly at Yao, who fearfully shakes her head in denial. With no proof, Madame Wan changes the subject. "Since none of you have proof, then let's end this matter here. But the fact that you hit my grandson cannot end just like that." Hearing this, Yi Chen responds, "He attacked me with a knife at the entrance of the Lu Yuan residential community." Giving logic, he mentions, "There are cameras there, and the community security can also testify. I was only defending myself within the legal framework." He challenges directly, "If you want to pursue this, let's call the police. If I go in, I guarantee he won't escape consequences either." Hearing this, Madame Wan is enraged and throws an indirect remark. "Fine, 3 years eating my Wan family's bread, you've become quite capable, haven't you?" Angrily, she asks, "After hitting my grandson, the next step is to hit me." But hearing this, Yi Chen says calmly, "Madame Wan, I have always respected you." Making a promise, he mentions, "I promise you, as long as Wan Zhenyi doesn't provoke me first in the future, I will have no problem with." Then he makes his final demand. "I only have one request. I hope you will permit me and Wan Yao to divorce." Hearing the word divorce, Madame Wan declares, "Fine, that's just fine." Then she announces loudly, "Friends, everyone knows 3 years ago my family took in a live-in son-in-law. This marriage was arranged by my late husband. In these 3 years, although Yao was unhappy, she continues her speech. To fulfill the elder's last wish, Yao's parents spoke to me several times about divorce, but I refused each time." Hearing this, murmurs break out among the guests. Then she continued, "My granddaughter Yao is considered the #1 beauty of Yun City by everyone's affection. I don't need to say who is worthy of whom." Then she announces her final decision. "Today, this Yi Chen hit my grandson and slandered my granddaughter and our family friend Feng Xiao." She shouts clearly, "I have decided I will no longer respect my late husband's last wish. I announce that Yi Chen, from now on, is not my Wan family's son-in-law. From this moment, he is expelled from my Wan family. The ultimate, you can't fire me, I quit, but reversed." Hearing this, Chen orders a waiter. "Waiter, serve drinks to everyone for the celebration." After that, the atmosphere changes. The waiter serves wine to everyone, and as expected, happy for the Wan family's decision, all the guests begin to congratulate. "Congratulations, Madame Wan. Congratulations, Yao." Everyone says in unison, and a strange kind of joy spreads in the air. Amid this celebration, Wan Yao's mother steps forward, capturing attention. "Thank you, everyone. By the way, I want to give you all some good news." Declaring with much pride, she says, "Our Yao and Yi Chen have slept separately for the last 3 years. He hasn't even touched our Yao's hand." Making the matter even clearer, she emphasizes, Yao is still a virgin. At this point, hearing these words from her mother, Yao blushes red with embarrassment. "Mom." But hearing this, Yi Chen thinks to himself, "This is nothing more than business." He analyzes, "This is Wan Yao's choice, to be valued by the family as some kind of commodity so that in the end the highest bidder can buy her." The meaning was clear. By proclaiming her virginity, they were increasing her market value, the ultimate for sale sign. After this, Yi Chen also takes a glass of wine that's there, but not to drink. Extending the glass toward Yao, he passes one last sarcastic comment. "Wan Yao, congratulations. Finally, you can find a man who matches your stature." Hearing this, Yao returns to her old arrogance. She feels Yi Chen is still afraid of losing her. So arrogantly, she declares, "If you kneel and beg me now, then maybe I'll ask Grandma not to give you the divorce for now." Hearing this, Yi Chen responds, full of anger and hatred, clarifying her misunderstanding. "You cheated on me, and on top of that, you want me to kneel and beg you." The matter returns to the same point. In Yi Chen's gaze, no respect for Yao remains. He then turns the wine glass over and pours all the alcohol onto the floor, a direct insult, and continues saying, "You are not worthy of this." Seeing this attitude from Yi Chen, Yao's anger reaches the 7th heaven. She can't believe the person who until yesterday obeyed her every word is now rejecting her. She thinks to herself, Yi Chen, this vile and disgusting man, has gone crazy today. He's rebelled directly. Grandma, just giving him the divorce would be a great escape for him. We can't let him go so easily. He humiliated us. Zhenyi, standing nearby and already upset with Yi Chen, also seizes the opportunity and supports her. Then, addressing all the guests present, she shouts loudly for all to hear. "Listen, everyone. This Yi Chen has wasted 3 precious years of my granddaughter's youth and moreover hit my grandson. He took advantage of our trust maliciously. Everyone here today are big shots from various industries in Yun City. You all have status. So I ask all of you, please help me and cut off every single one of his means to make a living. He must realize what the result of opposing us is, the classic, ruin his life villain speech. Hearing old Madame Wan's words, murmuring begins. People start talking amongst themselves in surprise. Interrupting the discussion, Feng Xiao steps from the crowd. Not wanting to miss this chance to look good in the Wan family's eyes, he announces, representing the Feng family, I am ready to support the Wan family. People in the crowd immediately recognize him. Hey, this is the eldest son of the Feng family. That same family that owns the largest chain of affordable luxury hotels in Yun City. As soon as Feng Xiao finishes speaking, it's as if a competition has begun. Another man steps forward. Listen, everyone, I am John He, owner of the Lu Yi, Luanyi, and San Ti Tian Tian restaurants. Showing his power and experience, he says, I've been in Yun City's catering business for 20 years. I am also ready to support the Wan family to stop Yi Chen's livelihood in this city. He barely finishes speaking when Ma Kun, not wanting to be left behind, also steps forward. I am your younger brother, Ma Kun, general agent for 2 and 2 in delivery in Yun City. Seeing so many people against him, Yi Chen isn't scared. Instead, he begins to count calmly. Hotels, waitering, food delivery. These 3 industries have already completely blacklisted me. You've put in all your effort. Then he asks mockingly, are there any other industries left? If so, let them step forward too. Hearing this, a man steps forward and shouts, I am the CEO of Golden Mini Karaoke. My dream is to have zero connection with you. No karaoke or bar in Yun City will have a place for you in the entertainment industry, blocking the fun, employment. We need to block this path too. She asks the crowd, who among you can also close off this path? Who has influence over all the rich people? Hearing this, the hall suddenly falls silent, and people begin to murmur. In Yun City, there are many rich people. No one can claim to know all the rich people of Yun City and influence them, right? It will be very hard to find a single person like that. Then the scene changes and our gaze falls on an extremely beautiful girl. Sitting elegantly on a sofa, she hadn't been paying attention to any of this. Her mere presence indicated she was different from everyone else, the mysterious beauty archetype. Seeing that girl, Wan Yaochen is stunned, his soul seemingly gone. He thinks, who is this beautiful lady? When did she arrive? I didn't notice. The next moment he realizes she isn't just any guest and nervously steps forward quickly. Oh, President Qin, when did you arrive? Forgive me for not receiving you at the door. Please pardon me. I've made a huge mistake. Ma Kun doesn't recognize her and asks in surprise, President Wan, who is this beauty? Please introduce us. Who is she to make you so worried? Yaochen, staring at him, thinks, Ma Kun, have you really been provincial in Yun City? You don't know this lady. Your ignorance will cost you dearly. Then, presenting her to everyone with pride, he says clearly, she is the famous vice president of the Jiasheng Group, President Qin Hongyan. Her name alone is enough. Hearing the name, an uproar breaks out in the entire hall. The impact is clearly seen on everyone's faces. This great beauty is the vice president of the Jiasheng Group. People begin to talk in surprise. Although the chairman of Jiasheng has always been like a divine dragon, seen only in shadow, never face, I've heard the vice president Qin's power is immense. She's the real public face of the company. Someone else adds, you said it well. In the country, the big international orders worth hundreds of billions that they received were all signed by her personally. It can be said she is below 1 man, but above 10,000. He thinks to himself, oh, the vice president of my company. That means she works for me. On this side, Wan Yaochen doesn't want to miss any opportunity to impress President Qin. Her reach is above all others. Ma Kun also immediately supports him. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Along with President Qin's impressive beauty, she's probably that one person all the rich people of Yun City want to know. Hearing this, Qin Hongyan becomes a bit sarcastic. She didn't like this flattery. She declares, by your words, it seems as if I'm having an affair with all the rich people of Yun City. Watch your words, the I'm not a gold digger clapback. Hearing these cutting words, Ma Kun gets nervous and immediately begins to apologize. Sorry, my tongue slipped, that wasn't my intention. But despite apologizing outwardly, Ma Kun is thinking something else. Swallowing his saliva, he has a dirty thought. President Qin, please take action and cut off this Yi Chen's livelihood. Your one word will be enough. At the same time, he calculates in his mind. My Wan family recently gave quite a few benefits to this Vice President Qin to obtain 70 million in financing from the Jiasheng Group. I hope she supports us. Meanwhile, Qin Hongyan takes a cigarette from her bag and places it between her lips. Her style was completely carefree. Seeing this, all the men present like madmen, take out their lighters and step forward, hoping to be the first to light her cigarette and get her attention, the simping Olympics. But Qin Hongyan ignores them all as if they aren't there. With her finger, she makes a gesture and calls to Yi Chen, who is standing in the crowd. Come here. Seeing this, Yi Chen thinks to himself, this vice president of my company, whom I've never met, is a bit interesting. Putting everything aside, she's calling me. Then he asks, what do you want? Chin Hongyan orders directly, light my cigarette. Hearing this, all the people are stunned. They murmur amongst themselves. President Chin actually asked that useless trash to light her cigarette. We're all standing here and she chose him. I don't understand what special quality or talent that useless trash has. Maybe she wants to humiliate. But surprising everyone, Yi Chen directly refuses. I don't have a lighter. The people are shocked again. He doesn't have a lighter. There are so many lighters here present, you don't know how to ask. He's really publicly rejecting the top goddess of Yun City's wealthy circle, Chin Hongyan. Look at his audacity, the ultimate I don't care flex. Hearing this, Chin Hongyan rises from her seat and approaches Yi Chen. On her face, there is nothing but something more. Getting very close, she asks, name. Hearing this, Yi Chen asks, what name? Chin Hongyan emphasizes again, your name. Yi Chen says in an irritated tone, can't you hear well? Didn't Wan Yaochen just say my name is Yi Chen? Why do you need to ask over and over? Hearing this, Wan Yaochen shouts angrily, you don't have permission to disrespect President Chin. Know your place. But Chin Hongyan, raising her hand, signals for him to be quiet. She was liking this attitude from Yi Chen. She gets even closer to Yi Chen, so close the distance between them becomes almost nothing. She puts her hand on Yi Chen's chest and says, Yi Chen, just because your surname is the same as our newly appointed chairman of the Jiasheng Group, I want to give you a way out. Take advantage of this coincidence. She looks him up and down and slowly says, looking at you carefully, you actually look quite good. You have something about you. Then she makes an offer that leaves everyone shocked. Listen to my request, and then I'll let you become my personal bodyguard. How about it? Hearing this, an uproar breaks out in the entire hall. People exclaim, President Chin is trying to save that guy Yi Chen. We want to ruin him and she's giving him a job, becoming the personal bodyguard of such a great beauty. Could it be President Chin's heart has fallen for that guy? This is a change of fortune. Yao, standing far away and seeing all this, burns with anger and confusion. She doesn't understand why this great lady is saving the man she wants to cast out. What does this Chin Hongyan mean? Amid this uproar, a bell rings in Wan Yaochen's mind. Suddenly, impacted, he realizes the new chairman's surname is also the same as this guy's. Without wasting time, he immediately asks, the surname of the new chairman of the Jiasheng Group is also Yi. He can't control his curiosity. To confirm the matter, he continues, President Chin, may I know the full name of Chairman Yi? Hearing this direct question, Chin Hongyan becomes a bit defensive. The truth was she herself didn't know this, but hiding her ignorance and showing confidence, she says, I'm sorry. Chairman Yi for now doesn't want many people to know about, but Chin Hongyan, who appears confident on the outside, is scared inside and thinks, I myself don't know the name of that mysterious new chairman. If they find out, it will be a joke. Seeing her condition and mask of confidence, Yi Chen smiles inwardly and thinks, she definitely doesn't know my identity, or else she wouldn't have asked me to light her cigarette earlier. Understanding the situation, Yi Chen asks directly, President Chin, how do you plan to arrange my livelihood? In response, Chin Hongyan, without any qualms, sets a condition and declares, as long as you kneel and apologize separately to old Madame Wan, to Wan Junyi, and to your wife, I am willing to intervene and save. After that, I'll hire you as my personal bodyguard with a salary of 200,000 a year. Hearing her offer, comments begin among the people present. People start murmuring. President Chin is trying to save that guy Yi Chen. Why? Someone calculating in surprise mentions, just by bowing and asking for forgiveness, he'll be saved from the blacklist and also become the personal bodyguard of a beauty like President Chin. This wretch will definitely say yes. Hearing all this, the anger of Yao, standing far away, increases even more. She thinks, what's wrong with this woman? She's constantly defending Yi Chen. She immediately goes to her grandmother and complains. Grandmother, President Chin is trying to go against you. But old Madame Wan's reaction is completely unexpected. Instead of getting angry, impressed by Chin Hongyan's shrewdness, she comments, this woman is a player of a very high level. It's no surprise she's vice president of Jiasheng at such a young age. Explaining the situation there, she says, look, she doesn't bother anyone easily and can make any man become her admirer and feel grateful. Now everyone thinks Yi Chen will take this golden offer with open hands. But then Yi Chen's face becomes completely cold, and without any doubt, he responds directly, I refuse. Hearing this direct answer, Yao's eyes fly wide open. Chin Hongyan can't believe what she's hearing. She shouts in anger and frustration. Say that again? In her mind, she couldn't digest this. This little live-in son-in-law actually rejected me in front of everyone. Then suddenly the scene takes a turn. Yi Chen quickly steps forward and getting very close to Chin Hongyan, grabs her ear. Pulling her ear, he shouts loudly, I said I refuse. Seeing this, Chin Hongyan screams in pain. Ah, her ear goes numb, and on her face, pain and shame are visible at the same time. The ultimate, how dare you touch me shock. Seeing this disrespect, Yaochen loses control, and pointing his finger at Yi Chen shouts, how dare you raise a hand against President Chin. But Yi Chen completely relaxed, justifying his action while mocking comments, I thought President Chin couldn't hear well, so I went close to her ear and spoke. Seeing her humiliation, Chin Hongyan's anger goes out of control. Staring fixedly at Yi Chen, she challenges him. Fine, very fine, Yi Chen, you have guts. Boiling with anger in her mind, she thinks this live-in son-in-law doesn't know what's good for him. Now the matter goes directly to threats. She turns toward the old madame and announces in front of everyone. Old Madame Wan, I, Chin Hongyan, Vice President of the Jiasheng Group, am ready to support the Wan family and will block every single path for Yi Chen to survive in Yun City. As soon as this final announcement is made, the guests present begin to laugh at Yi Chen. One man throws an indirect remark. Yi Chen, the useless trash, can't even become a bodyguard now. Another man, also laughing, adds fuel to the fire and predicts the future. Later, you won't have any chance to survive in Yun City. Seeing all this, Yao feels satisfaction in her mind and says, You cut off your own feet with an axe. You should have just endured everything I did to you quietly. And after hearing all this, when everyone thought Yi Chen would surrender, he asks Chin Hongyan a technical question. Chin Hongyan, may I ask if what you just said is your personal decision or the Jiasheng Group's decision? Chin Hongyan, without hesitation and with total confidence, responds, It is absolutely the decision of both. In response, Yi Chen traps her in a logical trap and declares, You are vice president of the Jiasheng Group, not the chairman. So what right do you have to represent the stance of the Jiasheng Group? Hearing this logical argument from Yi Chen, murmuring begins in the crowd. People realize he's right and start saying, Absolutely correct. President Chin's position isn't the highest in the Jiasheng Group. Another guest from a legal angle mentions, Logically speaking, she can't make decisions in the chairman's name. A third man adds, Anyway, there's no deep relationship between them. Hearing these words from the people, Chin Hongyan feels she's getting into trouble. To save herself and maintain her respect, she decides to tell a big lie and declares, Fine, I originally didn't want to say this, but since today you want to die knowing the truth, I'll tell everyone. Actually, the newly appointed chairman of the Jiasheng Group is my lover. Hearing this, the mind of the real chairman, that is, Yi Chen, is shaken. He thinks with surprise, Damn, when did I become your lover? Chin Hongyan, shocked, it slips from his mouth. What? Chin Hongyan stands firm in her false story and emphasizes clearly, I said Chairman Yi is my lover. Yi Chen, hearing this, thinks to himself, Aren't you ashamed to call me your lover to my face? And hearing this bombshell revelation from Chin Hongyan, murmuring breaks out among the present guests, and everyone looks at each other in surprise. People connecting the dots comment, that mysterious Chairman Yi is actually President Chin's boyfriend. That's why he suddenly appeared in Yun City. Immediately flattering, he comments, President Chin, why didn't you say this before? If Chairman Yi is your lover, then we can breathe easy. Yaochin calculates in his mind, overflowing with happiness. The Wan family already gave money to Chin Hongyan. Since Chin Hongyan is the chairman's lover, then the 70 million financing is practically guaranteed. Then Chin Hongyan, a bit embarrassed and trying to cover her lie, manages the matter clearly. My boyfriend is very serious about his work. He always keeps work and personal life completely separate. The matter doesn't end there. Then, advancing, she asks the crowd to help ensure this lie isn't discovered. So I hope everyone helps me keep this matter a secret. Seeing this drama from Chin Hongyan, Yi Chen finds it laughable inside. Understanding the irony of the situation, he thinks to himself, this woman first boasted with great pride, but now she's afraid other people will leak this outside, so now she put forth this excuse about secrecy. Seeing him laugh, Chin Hongyan feels insulted. She gets irritated and asks, What are you laughing at, Yi Chen? To give her a reality check, he throws an indirect remark. I heard Chairman Yi is not only extremely rich but also handsome and talented. Although President Chin is a bit attractive, the question is, would she be Chairman Yi's choice? Probably not, right? Hearing this, Chin Hongyan's ego is wounded, and she starts boasting even more. With arrogance, showing off her achievements, she says, Chairman Yi also fell in love with me at first sight. He rented an entire island in Southeast Asia, arranged a spectacular confession ceremony, and got down on one knee to ask me to be his girlfriend. The ultimate fanfiction moment. The crowd, hearing this, says wow and is completely impressed. But being the real chairman, Yi Chen is shocked to hear this and thinks, Woman, do you really know how to make up stories? Very well. Then, tired of this pointless discussion, he says, Forget it. I don't want to argue with you anymore. At this point, Yi Chen shifts his attention and, turning directly toward Yao, announces his final decision. Yao, let's go right now to the Civil Affairs Office to start the divorce process. Hearing this, Yao also responds with equal anger. Fine, let's go. But then Junny blocks their path. He doesn't want to let them go so easily and says in a mocking tone, Don't be in such a hurry. Leave after eating at the birthday banquet. When we start the feast in a bit, we'll also put a bowl out for you by the door. After all, after eating, you have to leave Yun City. The eat like a dog insult. Then Junny turns toward Ma Kun and, remembering old stories, comments, I still have to thank you, Boss Ma. That scene outside where you made Yi Chen take off his clothes was classic. Exactly like training a dog. Ma Kun, also happy to hear his praise, says, Young Master Wan is being too polite. He makes a final decision. Ma Kun's job must end right now. There will be no more audience after this. Without wasting a second, he immediately takes out his phone and dials a special number. On the other side comes that respectful voice of an old man. Third young master. Without wasting time to confirm his target, Yi Chen asks, "That man who works delivering food and always insisted on giving food to my grandfather. What was his name? I don't remember." Over the phone, the old man immediately confirms the details. "You are talking about the CEO of Tuan Delivery, John Chu." Hearing the name, Yi Chen orders directly. "Exactly. It's him. Contact him now and tell him to revoke the Tuan Delivery Agency in Yun City with immediate effect." Hearing this, all the people present are shocked. They can't believe their ears about what level of matter this guy is talking about and to whom he is giving orders. Over the phone, the old man, continuing the matter, mentions, "Yes, he has always wanted to meet the old master and get in contact with him, so he will surely be happy to do this job for you. Thinking about it, his net worth now exceeds 50 billion, so he is worthy of eating with the old master." Hearing this, Yi Chen, a bit impressed like an elder, comments, "Hectometers. This kid has made quite good progress in recent years. Someday set up a meeting with me. I'll give him an audience." The old man immediately obeys. "Yes, young master." As soon as Yi Chen hangs up the phone, there is silence for a moment because people don't understand if this was real or some joke. The calm before the face slap moment. But in the next moment, Junyi begins to laugh uproariously as if he heard the biggest joke of the century. "Yi Chen, what kind of drama are you putting on?" He wipes a tear from his eye. Calling the CEO of Tuan, giving him orders. "Your delusion of grandeur is clinically significant. Did getting kicked out fry your last brain cell?" The entire hall erupts in mocking laughter. Everyone convinced they're witnessing the pathetic final act of a desperate man. Ma Kun shakes his head with a pitying smirk. "Kid, you could have just knelt. Now you've made a fool of yourself in front of the entire city." Qin Hongyan looks on with cold disdain, and Wan Yao feels a twisted sense of vindication. "This is what you get for defying me," she thinks. "Your grandfather is just a farmer. The CEO has billions in wealth. Would he eat with your grandfather? Damn it, are you living in some dream?" He also stares at Yi Chen with anger. He feels all this is just for attention and comments. "How disgusting you are. If you have no capability, then you have none. Why put on this drama?" But on this side, Qin Hongyan, who is standing there, has her eyes fixed on Yi Chen. She isn't sweeping her gaze like the others, but is thinking something profound. Then suddenly cutting through the atmosphere, Ma Kun's phone rings. Ma Kun looks at the screen and excitedly shouts, "It's the CEO." He immediately answers the phone and begins to flatter him. "CEO, I was just thinking these past few days about calling you so we could discuss the contract renewal." But from the other side of the phone comes the CEO's voice, full of anger, shattering all illusions. "I'm calling specifically to inform you that your agency rating in Yun City has been revoked." Hearing this, the ground vanishes beneath Ma Kun's feet. He doesn't understand what happened and falls into deep shock. And friends, the chapter ends here. Until then, goodbye. The ex-boss instantly turns pale, his face doing that classic manhwa whiteout like a printer running out of ink, and a cold sweat starts to drip down his face as he hears the terrible news. Desperate, he looks at the guests, his internal monologue screaming that he can't be embarrassed in front of so many important people. This wasn't in the villain's script. So the scumbag starts talking loudly, lying to everyone that the contract was renewed for a fee of 8 million. His voice the confident boom of a final boss who hasn't seen the health bar above his head. While the voice on the phone says the partnership is over, Mackin keeps pretending they're going out for drinks to celebrate, hitting the emotional range of a bad K-drama actor. He says his goodbyes, promising a pleasant future cooperation, even as the CEO is calling him a lunatic on the line. He then hangs up, laughing with the nervous energy of a man who just sent a risky text and is waiting for the scene notification. Our protagonist sees right through the pathetic act the man is putting on, feeling the second-hand cringe so hard it's a physical sensation. Mikin then turns to the other guests and assures them with a straight face that the deal is totally sealed. His smile so forced it looks like it was uploaded with a slow internet connection. Hearing the good news, Wang Xiaowi proposes a toast, and the liar drinks the wine mixed with his own desperate tears, the vintage notes of regret and poor life choices. But Yi Chen notices the man's tears and realizes with a smirk that the move he pulled worked perfectly, the satisfaction of a puzzle piece clicking into place. The vice president finds the tears odd and asks if he's okay, her tone the polite concern you, use for a stranger with food in their teeth. But the man makes up an excuse that the strong drink went down the wrong way, the oldest lie in the book, right after "I'm fine." At that, our hero crosses his arms and asks point blank why he doesn't just tell everyone that he lost the agency, his voice cutting through the awkward silence like a skip button. Furious at being exposed, Mackin yells that the headquarters took over and says it has nothing to do with the young man, deflecting like a pro at a corporate dodgeball game. Our protagonist doesn't even care about the accusations, and calmly says he won't waste time arguing because he knows the truth. His chill vibe the exact opposite of the chaotic energy in the room. Makan is sweating bullets, but the guests doubt that a useless live-in son-in-law would have the power to take down an entire agency, their logic following the usual weak-looking guy is weak trope. However, Kun Hong Yin becomes thoughtful, staring at the young man suspiciously and wondering if he could actually be someone powerful, his detective mode activating like in every mystery manhwa ever. Right after, Gio steps forward to calm things down, assuring everyone that her ex-husband is just a country bumpkin with no influence, the tell in her voice as clear as a tutorial pop-up. She continues to humiliate the young man, saying that if he knew important people, he would never have allowed himself to be treated like a dog, a line so cliché it should come with its own background music. The matriarch agrees, laughing at the situation as she believes young masters are too spoiled to endure so much hardship. Her chuckle the sound of a VIP reader who thinks she knows the whole plot. Trying to save face, Makan shows off a super expensive bottle of wine, but is interrupted by the waiters calling everyone to eat, his big moment ruined by the universal signal for "shut up, food s here." Watching that scene, our hero realizes how materialistic the family is and understands perfectly why he was betrayed, the revelation hitting him with the subtlety of a chapter title card. At that moment, the head chef announces that the banquet is about to begin and asks everyone to proceed to the main hall. As they walk, Gia whispers for him to wait until after dinner to make the divorce official so as not to ruin the party, her priorities as clear as a menu. With little choice, the protagonist sits alone at a table in the back, deciding to wait until everyone has finished eating, the classic protagonist in the corner shot. Suddenly, a female guest next to him makes a scene just because her spoon touched his, acting as if he were trash, her drama level set to extra. Chen ignores the drama and notices the dish being served is pepia soup, famous for helping with the growth of certain assets. With an appraising look, he comments that she probably doesn't need to have any, leaving the woman furious and confused. The woman stands up indignantly, but the young man just glances at her generous assets, indicating she's already well-equipped, his deadpan delivery the final blow. In doubt, the woman changes her tune and tells him to just have the soup himself, pretending she said nothing, but thinks he's annoying for not even looking at her face. A moment later, she runs to her grandmother and complains that Chen shouldn't be allowed to eat there, claiming the useless son-in-law didn't even bring a birthday present and has no right to be at the banquet. The woman continues to be a pain, stating that the family needs to have some integrity and they'll only process the divorce after the meal, but insists on pointing out that it's the 18th birthday and the guy showed up empty-handed, her nagging a constant buff effect. Our protagonist listens to it all in silence, reflecting that if it weren't for the matriarch's insistence on forbidding the divorce for 3 years, his mission would have failed long ago. So he's actually grateful for that absurd rule, the ultimate task failed successfully moment. Since today is the day he officially leaves the family, Yin decides he should give something in return and takes out his phone, calling a subordinate to prepare a gift and have it delivered to the hotel immediately, the casual power move of a hidden op character. Seeing him on the phone, Jia Yao scoffs, asking if he found his conscience in the trash, and arrogantly warns him that the Wang family won't accept whatever cheap junk he has delivered in front of everyone. His wife continues to humiliate him, telling him to stop embarrassing himself since he's just a freeloader, and even offers to send someone to buy something decent for him, to pretend he gave to the grandmother just to save face, the offer as backhanded as a compliment from a rival. However, our hero keeps eating calmly, ignoring her yelling, which makes the woman furious, shouting and asking if he's gone deaf, her voice hitting that high-pitched note of pure frustration. But the young man doesn't even bother to look up from his plate, his focus legendary. 10 minutes pass and a simple delivery man in a yellow helmet rushes into the hotel's luxurious lobby. A staff member stops the man at the entrance, saying it's a private party and outsiders aren't allowed. But the guy humbly explains he's just there to deliver a birthday present and then he'll leave, his politeness a bright light in a sea of arrogance. Faced with the situation, the delivery man looks around a bit lost and politely asks who is celebrating their birthday today so he can deliver the package to the right person. Wang Xiaoyi stands up thinking it's food, his brain permanently in snack mode. The man explains that he met a Rolls-Royce owner on the road who gave him $500 just to bring that package to the hotel as fast as possible, a side quest with a great reward. Hearing the words Rolls-Royce, the arrogant cousin immediately assumes the gift is from some big shot for his grandmother, and with a greedy smile extends his hand, telling the delivery man to hand over the package immediately, his eyes turning into dollar signs. Curiosity fills the hall to see what's inside the mysterious box brought on the orders of a millionaire, the suspense building like a loot box animation. And Wang Xiaoyi carefully opens it, expecting to see something impressive. When the lid opens, a green light shines brightly, and he breaks into a cold sweat, completely shocked to realize it's an extremely exquisite and valuable piece of ice jade worth a real fortune. The classic legendary item get visual effect. Wang Xiao's jaw drops as he examines the jewel, and he shouts for everyone to hear that the jade is perfectly clear and worth at least 10 million, his voice doing the numbers going up squeal. At this, the guests begin to whisper, unable to believe that a simple delivery man brought something so valuable, and wonder who the tycoon behind it is, the gossip spreading like a system notification. While the commotion takes over the hall, our protagonist continues to eat calmly as if all the fuss has nothing to do with him, the picture of "I'm just here for the daily rewards." From there, everyone becomes mesmerized by the bracelet's beauty and asks matriarch Wang, who the generous soul was that sent the gift. However, the old woman stares at the piece, confused, and admits she has no idea who sent it, as she doesn't know anyone that rich and mysterious, her pride struggling with the unknown variable. Qin Hongyan is also impressed by the supreme quality of the jade and starts trying to guess who the sender of such a fortune might be, his mind running through the list of possible hidden bosses. A moment later, vanity gets the best of the vice president, and she starts to imagine that perhaps one of her wealthy suitors sent it. The woman deludes herself into thinking her irresistible beauty made some young master spend millions just to try and win her heart that night, her fantasy a full-color splash page. On the other hand, Wang Jukong starts bragging, saying it was definitely a secret admirer in love with his daughter who sent the package, the family's ability to spin narratives truly S-rank. Based on this assumption, they begin to congratulate each other, convinced that a generous billionaire son-in-law is about to join the family, the celebration premature and deeply ironic. Our hero finds the whole pathetic scene amusing, thinking that they'd rather invent any absurd lie than admit that he was the one who bought the jewel, the plot armor of their denial impenetrable. He then wipes his mouth, stands up from the table, and asks his wife if she's done eating so they can get out of there. With that, Ye Chen announces that he has delivered the promised gift and now demands they go straight to the registry office to finalize the divorce immediately, dropping the truth bomb like a special episode cliffhanger. Zhao's eyes go wide with confusion, and she questions when he ever delivered a gift since she didn't see him lift a finger all night, her perception check failing critically. So the protagonist points a finger right at her grandmother and reveals in front of everyone that the $10 million bracelet is his gift. The reveal so clean it should have a mic drop sound effect. Xiaowi points a finger back in our protagonist's face, shouting that he's shameless and would never have the money to buy a jewel like that, not even in 1,000 years, his denial strong enough to power a small city. The cousin continues the drama, telling Jie Yao not to let her husband embarrass himself, claiming it was definitely a rich suitor who sent the gift, clinging to the delusion like a lifeline. With that, the wife hastily pulls the young man along, saying they need to rush to the registry office because she can't stand being married to a loser for one more second, her urgency that of someone trying to close a pop-up ad. Before leaving, Ye Chen looks at the old woman and says seriously that for their 3 years together, the bracelet is his farewell gift to the family. The gesture somehow both incredibly baller and a final screw you wrapped in jade. Guy ignores the noble gesture and yells for him to stop bragging and just get lost, reinforcing that he's nothing but a walking embarrassment to the Wang clan, her words bouncing off his newfound serenity. Just then, Wang Xiaowi appears with a menacing look, telling his ex-in-law to get on a train and disappear from Yanzhou as soon as he signs the divorce papers, playing the classic, leave the city trope completely straight. But our hero isn't fazed by the threat and coldly replies that his freedom is his own, and no one has the right to decide where he should or shouldn't live, the line dripping with main character energy. A moment later, he's waiting on the sidewalk for a ride when a luxury car flies by and screeches to a halt in front of him for one last taunt. Inside the vehicle, Fang Chaya smirks maliciously next to the woman, saying the young man isn't worthy of sitting in a BMW and should take a rental bike instead, the insult so petty it's almost admirable. The lover lets out another laugh, telling him they'll be waiting at the entrance of the government building, leaving our protagonist behind on the curb, the classic, we have the faster mount flex. Faced with this humiliating situation, Ye Chen just hails a regular taxi and asks the driver to take him straight to the civil affairs office to get it over with, his patience a stat he's maxed out. Once they arrive, they immediately enter the mediation room where the atmosphere is cold and bureaucratic, marking the definitive end of that arranged marriage, the setting as cheerful as a game over screen. The process is quick, and in just a few minutes, the staff hands over the red certificates, sealing the divorce and severing the ties between them, the sound effect in his head being a quest-completed ding. Holding the document, the young man feels a weight lift from his shoulders and thinks with relief that after 3 years of suffering, he's finally no longer Aliven's son-in-law, the debuff icon finally fading. But on the way out, Feng Xiao shows up to mock him, saying he's now evolved from a useless son-in-law to an abandoned son-in-law, trying to assign him a new, equally lame class. While Ye Chen focuses on his next test, our protagonist doesn't even care about the taunts and just replies coldly that he wants nothing more to do with that woman, turning his back and walking away, already mentally in the next story arc. Zhao is furious at being ignored and continues to scream in the middle of the street, calling her ex-husband a useless abandoned son-in-law, her voice the shrill soundtrack to his freedom. As he gets into the taxi, the woman gets into the luxury car, still fuming, and orders Fang Zhao to follow the guy's vehicle to make sure he leaves the city, initiating a chase sequence no one asked for. The lover obeys with a smug grin on his face, certain that Ye Chen is heading straight for the train station to run away with his tail between his legs, the confidence of someone who hasn't read the genre tags. As they tail the taxi through the busy streets, they think that since they've blocked all his means of support, the young man has no choice but to leave, their plan seeming foolproof in a vacuum. But Jia Yao starts to get restless in the passenger seat, remembering her ex-husband's confident expression, and feels that something is very strange about this whole situation, her intuition finally pinging after 3 years of neglect. Suddenly, Fang Zhao furrows his brow in confusion, realizing that the route the taxi is taking leads neither to the train station nor the bus terminal. The ex-wife asks if it's the way to the airport, but the driver denies it, saying that this direction leads straight to the wealthy district of XH, the plot thickening. At this, the woman starts biting her nails anxiously, wondering if the guy actually plans to stay in Yanzhou even after everything, her anxiety meter filling up. Fang Zhao tries to calm her down, saying the poor guy is probably just looking for a cheap hotel, but assures her that with their influence, no one will rent a room to him, his villain logic airtight. 10 minutes later, the taxi stops in front of the luxurious Four Seasons Hotel at Westlake, leaving the pursuing couple completely baffled, their confusion as delicious as a victory cutscene. Seeing our protagonist walk up the entrance stairs, Fang Zhao scoffs, saying he definitely only went there to apply for a job as a waiter or janitor, his imagination limited to the NPC roles. Jia Yao is outraged by the guy's audacity, since they had already made it clear at the banquet that he was banned from getting any job in the city, the decree of a minor villain. Determined to humiliate the young man one more time, the lover picks up his phone and calls an acquaintance who works as a manager at the hotel to set a trap. The classic, "I know a guy" move. The man then orders the manager not to hire a guy named Ye Chen, who just walked in, thinking he's destroying our hero's life, his smile that of a job well done. However, the lover's expression changes drastically when he hears the manager's response, and he shouts in surprise, making Gio ask in fright what went wrong, the record scratch moment audible. The man hangs up the phone, confused, and explains that the employee checked everything, but confirmed that no one showed up looking for a job, which leaves them both wondering about the reason for his visit, the mystery box now in their laps. Faced with this mystery, Fang Chia's eyes widen, and he suggests the absurd possibility that our protagonist wasn't there to work, but to stay as a guest, the idea so revolutionary it breaks his brain. The ex-wife immediately laughs at the idea, saying it's impossible because a single night costs 8,000, and she confiscated all his cards, leaving him with just some pocket change, her math based on the stats she thinks she knows. Even so, the lover isn't satisfied and decides to go into the hotel to get to the bottom of it personally with his manager acquaintance. Arriving in the lobby, they receive the bombshell confirmation that Yachin did indeed check in and even paid in advance for a full 7-day stay. Hearing this, the villainous pair's jaws drop, calculating that this little stunt costs more than 50,000, and they can't believe the useless guy would have that kind of cash. Their worldviews crack. Right after, Fang Chiao accuses the guy of having skimmed money from grocery shopping and dog food for years, calling our hero a shameless thief, reaching for the lowest hanging fruit. However, the receptionist interrupts their outburst with a sheepish smile and informs them there's been a mistake because the guest didn't get a regular room, but the presidential suite, the correction delivered with the force of a critical hit. This revelation hits them like an atomic bomb, making them scream in unison, completely terrified by what they just heard, their HP dropping to 0. Sweat drips down Fang Zhao's forehead as he redoes the math, realizing the stunt actually cost over $500,000 since the luxury suite goes for 80,000 a night. Completely pale, he turns to Gio and asks if she's absolutely sure her ex-husband saved up $500,000 just by saving spare change from buying bread, because the math just doesn't add up, his voice a whisper of pure, unadulterated system error. Feng Xiao turns to the receptionist to confirm his doubt. "Are you sure Yi Chen just paid 560,000 in full right now?" The receptionist confirms the payment and then delivers the salt in the wound. "Yes, sir, and he also gave me a very generous 10,000 tip. My rent is paid this month thanks to your ex-brother-in-law." Yao's anger explodes. "How dare you keep that tip? That money all belongs to my Wan family, understand? That's ours by default." Feng Xiao tries to calm her down logically. Now is not the time to cry over a tip. The real question is, where did he get so much money? Even if he skimmed grocery money for 3 years, he could not save $1 million. This math ain't mathing. Yao thinks for a moment and then a light bulb goes off. Wait, He used to follow my grandmother's house to take care of her dog. She has many valuable antiques. Could it be he took one or two and sold them, like some kind of antique heist protagonist? Feng Xiao agrees. That must be it. Call your family and tell them to check if anything is missing. This is giving major red flag energy. Meanwhile, at the Wang Hotel banquet hall, President Tang and the other important guests still haven't left. Everyone is waiting to catch a glimpse of the mysterious person who sent that expensive bracelet. Qin Hongyan grows restless watching the door. She thinks to herself that even with traffic, the gift sender should have arrived by now. A disturbing thought crosses her mind. Could it be that Yi Chen really sent that bracelet? Now that would be too much plot twist. Yao's mother's phone rings. She answers and hears Yao's frantic voice on the other end. Mom, go to grandmother's house immediately. Check if any of her old calligraphy or paintings are missing. That wretched Chen must have stolen our family's things and is spending the money from selling them. The mother loses her composure and blurts out loudly, "That Yi Chen, that loser stole grandmother's antiques." Qin Hongyan overhears and takes a deep breath as if all her suspense has ended. She exhales cigarette smoke thinking she thought that guy was some big tycoon, but it turns out he's just a common thief. Talk about false advertising. Her interest completely evaporates. She stands and says she has important company work and must leave now. Old Madame Wan stands respectfully and mentions the financing matter is in President Qin's hands. Qin Hongyan tells her not to worry and leaves. As soon as she goes, the other guests understand the mysterious tycoon isn't coming, and they all begin to leave like NPCs ending a side quest. When the crowd disperses, old Madame Wan asks angrily what Yao said. She learns that Yi Chen booked a presidential suite at the Westlake Hotel for a week and spent nearly 600,000 there. They suspect he got the money by selling antiques. Old Madame Wan explodes and pounds the table, cursing that son-in-law. But she controls her anger, remembering the bracelet guest still hasn't arrived. She divides the family, sending some to check her house while she and others stay to wait longer. Multitasking queen. At the villa, Cao and Yao's parents begin searching. Cao suggests they split up, with the uncle checking the ancient calligraphy room while he checks another room. After 20 minutes of searching, they find nothing missing. Cao thinks, deeply calculating that nothing valuable was stolen from grandmother's house, which means Yi Chen didn't steal anything. His brain is doing math. Cao's hatred dominates him. He doesn't want to give Yi Chen a clean slate, so he lies and tells his uncle to check again. As soon as the uncle leaves, a horrible plan comes to Cao's mind. He goes to a shelf and picks up a very expensive watch worth over 5 million that his grandfather used to wear. A diabolical smile appears on his face as he thinks now Yi Chen will be the thief who stole this watch. He's about to speedrun framing someone. He hides the watch in his pocket and goes out with the empty box. Immediately, he starts shouting that a watch is missing from his room. Yao's mother reacts angrily, saying she knew it. Yao's father immediately calls old Madame Wan and nervously reports that grandfather's Richard Mille watch is missing. Old Madame Wan begins trembling with rage. She orders them to grab Yi Chen and bring him to her so she can cut off his hand. Grandmother unlocked Yandir mode. After hanging up, the father tells Cao they need to bring Yi Chen back. But Cao remembers the beating from last time and fears that man hitting him again. He fakes a wound and escapes, claiming he needs to go to the hospital. Bro really said, "I'm hurt," and ran. The father calls Yao and asks if she's still at the Westlake Hotel. At the hotel, Yao answers the call and her eyes widen. "What did you say? From grandmother's house, a Richard Mille watch is missing, worth 5 million. Okay, I understand." She hangs up and Feng Xiao asks what happened. Yao angrily says Yi Chen really stole grandmother's things. She turns to the receptionist and disrespectfully demands Yi Chen's room number. Feng Xiao gets scared and asks what she's going to do. Yao enthusiastically responds that she's going to bring him back for stealing her grandfather's 5 million watch. Feng Xiao notices she looks more excited than angry. He grabs her, afraid she might cause a scene at the hotel, and tells her to just call the police calmly instead of going up there. Yao calls him a coward and goes up alone. Girl is on her main quest. She arrives outside the presidential suite and pounds on the door, shouting for the damn thief to open up. After a while, the door opens, revealing Yi Chen, who has just showered with only a towel wrapped around him. He gets irritated and asks why she doesn't stop bothering him now that they're divorced. Seeing him in this state, with abs showing, Yao's anger cools and her face turns red. Yi Chen ignores her reaction and asks directly what she wants. Yao snaps out of it, and to hide her embarrassment, changes the subject, accusing him of stealing her grandmother's Richard Mille watch. Yi Chen is confused and asks which watch. Yao thinks he's acting and angrily says a 5 million watch is missing, and she knows he took it because otherwise where would he get the money for this presidential suite that she has never even stayed in? Yi Chen thinks to himself that the Wan family really is something else, taking credit for good things and blaming him for everything. Classic toxic guild behavior. He tells her he has never taken even a needle or thread from their family, so stealing a watch is far-fetched, and tells her to leave. When Yi Chen calls her Miss Wan, it's as if Yao gets an electric shock. He never called her that before. She remembers the old days when he affectionately called her my annoying wife and talked about taking her out to eat. This rejection and formality angers her, and she asks why he's in such a hurry to kick her out, asking if there's a woman inside. Yi Chen has had enough and tells her whether there's a woman inside is none of her concern, and if she doesn't leave now, he will call security. Yao's anger reaches its peak. She threatens to call the police and tells him he's looking at more than 15 years in prison for stealing 5 million. Yi Chen closes the door without paying attention to her threats. Yao keeps shouting outside, but the door is already locked. Inside, Yi Chen calmly dries his hair and laughs at himself in the mirror, thinking it was only because he loved her that she always made him kneel and beg for forgiveness. He wonders what it means to love someone when the person falls so low. Sad backstory music plays in his head. When old Madame Wan finds out Yao called the police, she gets furious. Yao's mother defends her daughter, saying Yi Chen wasn't cooperating, so she had to call the police, and since he's no longer family, handling him according to family justice wouldn't be right. Back at the hotel, the police arrive and ask Yao if she's Miss Wan Yao, and if she reported Yi Chen stealing her family's 5 million watch. Yao plays the victim, explaining Yi Chen was their live-in son-in-law and they just divorced. She claims he stole the watch, sold it, and used the money to stay in the presidential suite for a week, and even hired a prostitute. She urges the officers to arrest him quickly, speedrunning that false report. One officer orders the reception to call Yi Chen down. The frightened receptionist makes the call, but Yi Chen has already fallen fast asleep and doesn't answer. Yao's suspicion turns to certainty as she angrily thinks he's guilty, and that's why he won't talk to her. The two police officers look at each other and decide to go upstairs. They take the elevator up and ring the doorbell. When Yi Chen opens the door and sees the police, he is a little surprised, but remains completely calm. Main character energy activated. The officer in front, Captain Li, reveals his identity and gets straight to the point, asking if Yi Chen stole the 5 million watch. He scans Yi Chen and points out that he was formerly the live-in son-in-law of the Wan family and didn't have much money doing food delivery for the last 6 months. He mentions that at the time of divorce, Yi Chen didn't receive a single cent of family property, yet he's staying in a presidential suite that costs 80,000 a night, booked for a full week. He asks where the money came from if he didn't steal the watch. Detective mode on. Without any delay, Yi Chen turns around and brings out some papers. He hands them to Captain Li, explaining that this is the share transfer contract of Guaja Group and that he is now the largest shareholder and newly appointed CEO. He also hands over his shiny business card. Plot twist unlocked. As soon as they take the card, both police officers lose their composure. That's some pay-to-win item right there. The other officer whispers to the captain that this is too exaggerated and asks if it could be fake. Captain Li asks if his information can be found on SkyEye, which is a commercial investigation tool that maintains information on 200 million social entities across the country. Yi Chen responds that the founder of SkyEye, Dr. Yang Kao, is his second brother's college classmate. Since he hasn't officially joined the office yet and didn't want people to find him first, he asked Dr. Yang to hide his information. He offers to have them open it for a while and immediately calls Dr. Yang, speaking casually and asking him to open his profile for just 10 minutes. He tells the officers they can check now. Flex. Both officers immediately search for Guaja Group on their phones. When the result appears, their eyes fly wide open. On the screen, it clearly reads Yi Chen, CEO of Guaja Group. Achievement unlocked, shock. But Captain Li still isn't willing to accept defeat and suggests it could be the work of some hacker. Man is in denial. Yi Chen realizes they won't believe him like this. He says he didn't want to flaunt his wealth, but since they still don't believe him, fine. He takes out his phone, opens the banking app, and puts it in front of their faces, telling them to see for themselves. Ultimate move, bank account reveal. When the officers glance at the transaction details, they completely lose their composure. The 560,000 expense is on one side, but when their gaze falls on the available balance below, both are shocked because that amount is over 10 billion. In the midst of the silence, Yi Chen inwardly takes a deep breath, thinking it's good they signed a prenuptial property agreement when they got married, which is why the Wan family never checked how much property and assets he actually has in his name. Pro gamer move. He looks toward the police and explains that this is just one of his cards. He asks with respect if Yi Chen must be the young master of some very large and wealthy family, and why someone with his background would willingly become a live-in son-in-law of the Wan family. Lore inquiry. Yi Chen responds that it was just a family arrangement, and at that time he had no other choice. He asks the officers to keep his secret, especially from the Wan family, because he doesn't want any more involvement with them. stealth mode activated. Both police officers think to themselves that the tastes and thoughts of rich people really are very strange. After clarifying the matter, the police officers politely apologize for the inconvenience and leave. Yi Chen bids them farewell. 2 minutes later in the hotel lobby, Han Yao and Feng Xiao are waiting impatiently. When they see the police come down, they immediately approach them. Captain Li directly tells them that the gentleman has already clarified he did not take their family's watch and suggests they go back and search because maybe they forgot it somewhere else. Reality check incoming. Feng Xiao protests asking how that's possible and how they can believe him. Yao also argues that if he didn't steal their family's things, then where did he get so much money to stay in this 5-star hotel? She insists he's just a poor food delivery guy and nothing more. Copium overdose. Both police officers look at each other in surprise at the words poor delivery guy. In their minds, that figure of 10 billion is spinning around. They think to themselves that there is no poor person in this world who owns 10 billion. Internal screaming. Captain Li tells Yao firmly that until they have concrete evidence, they have no right to arrest Mr. Yi Chen. Before leaving, Captain Li stops and advises her to stop calling her ex-husband poor or useless. He reminds her that they were once husband and wife, and saying that kind of thing about the other party is very hurtful. The other police officer asks with some surprise if she was the one who divorced Mr. Yi Chen. Yao proudly confirms that she took the initiative for the divorce and says he's already regretting it now. Clown makeup applied. The police officer mentally gives her a sarcastic thumbs up, thinking that a husband who has billions in wealth, who has rejected the CEO of Guaja Group, the regret isn't his, it's hers. Thoughts and prayer. Yao hesitantly asks the police officer if there was any woman in his room. Captain Li responds that Mr. Yi Chen is alone in his room and there's no one else. A smile appears on Yao's face, and she says to herself that she knew it, he still loves her. Delulu is the Solulu. Feng Xiao stands there very confused, thinking about how the police went up and down and suddenly became so polite to Yi Chen. He wonders what happened up there. Brain, EXC not responding. Just as he's thinking this, Yao's phone rings. On the screen, the name Wan Sao lights up. She answers and hears her brother's voice asking if the police arrested him. Yao responds that the police said there's no evidence, so they can't arrest him. Sao is a little surprised and asks what kind of evidence they want. Yao explains that they need either proof of stealing the watch or a receipt from selling it. A diabolical smile appears on Sao's face as he looks at the 5 million watch in his hand. He thinks to himself that getting proof of stealing the watch is impossible because the watch is in his hand at this moment. But the next moment, his mind plays a new trick. He thinks he can create fake proof of selling the watch against Yi Chen. Villain monologue incoming. He tells Yao to leave this matter to him and says he'll find out who he sold the watch to and send him to jail. Barely does brother come out of Yao's mouth when Sao hangs up. Yao sinks into deep worry, asking herself that if brother Sao really sends Yi Chen to jail, then what will happen next? Old memories refresh before her eyes. She remembers that time when Yi Chen lovingly used to curl her hair and ask if the curl was good. She was still lost in these memories, her mind completely entangled in thoughts of Yi Chen. Flashback arc initiated. Feng Xiao, who has been staring at her intently from the side, sees the opportunity and approaches her. Brazenly, he puts his hand on Yao's shoulder and whispers, suggesting they stay at the Westlake tonight too. Pick up artist fail. This touch makes Yao boil with anger. She turns around furiously and gives Feng Xiao a strong slap on the cheek, shouting that he can't even handle a simple Yi Chen and has the audacity to dream of sleeping with her. Saying this, she leaves immediately. K-drama slap sound effect. Feng Xiao strokes his red cheek and grinds his teeth, thinking curses. He thinks to himself that she ruined all his fun for tonight, and when she comes out, he won't forgive her at all. His little lackey Xiao Zhang adds fuel to the fire from behind, saying that this girl is pretty hot anyway. Feng Xiao's anger reaches the 7th heaven. He grabs Xiao Zhang's neck and lifts him in the air, ordering him to stop the nonsense and to receive news immediately as soon as Yi Chen leaves the hotel. The frightened lackey nods. Boss fight loading. Time passes, and the next day at 6 in the morning, the hotel elevator door opens and out comes Yi Chen. But today Yi Chen is completely different from yesterday's delivery guy. He wears an expensive suit, and there is a different confidence in his walk. Seeing this new appearance, the girls standing at the reception are stunned and whisper among themselves in surprise. They comment that he looks exactly like a domineering CEO, and how different his temperament is from the simple guy yesterday. Another girl agrees, saying she loves him, and wonders which girl will be so lucky to become his wife. Main character glow up. Oblivious to these conversations, Yi Chen exits the hotel. Xiao Zhang sees him and immediately calls Feng Xiao, reporting that Yi Chen has come out. Yi Chen takes a taxi and leaves with Xiao Zhang following behind in his car, updating that he's heading toward the city center. Stalker side quest. After a trip of about 20 minutes, the taxi stops in front of a luxurious building. It's the Guaja Group building. Getting out of the taxi, Yi Chen looks at the skyscraper and says that yesterday Qin Hongyan took away his livelihood, but today let's see what her attitude will be when she sees him again. Revenge arc initiated. Feng Xiao is still lying in bed when he finds out Yi Chen went to the Guaja group. He's confused about what he went there for. He thinks about how President Qin said yesterday in front of everyone that she would ruin him completely. Could it be that Yi Chen went to take revenge on President Qin just thinking it makes him smile? He thinks this is a very good opportunity. If he saves President Qin, maybe he'll have some chance with that beautiful President Qin Hongyan. Simple logic activated. Without delay, he dials her number. On the other side, President Qin Hongyan is resting in her room. Seeing an unknown number, she answers and asks who it is. Feng Xiao speaks in a very polite voice, introducing himself and mentioning he made a toast to her yesterday at old Madame Wan's birthday party. Qin Hongyan is a little surprised and asks if everything is okay calling so early. Feng Xiao gets straight to the point and asks if she remembers that live-in son-in-law of the Wan family, Yi Chen. Yesterday, we supported the Wang family together and cut off his livelihood. That kid ran to your company building early this morning. I guess he wants revenge. Snitch move. President Qin replies calmly, "Don't worry. The building has access control and security. He can't get upstairs." Feng Xiao quickly adds, "The people I sent told me that kid has a guard in his hand and already passed the access control. He might be heading to your company floor right now. If you go up, your life might be in danger." Dramatic zoom. Hearing this, President Qin becomes suspicious. How could he have our company card? Plot twist incoming. That kid swiped the Wang family's patented tech, flipped it for 5 million and is now living the high life, while your entire company is just casually coughing up cash for a lousy access card. Doesn't that scream red flag? I'm genuinely worried sick about you, President Qin. A stunner like you. If that scumbag tries anything with a blade, the heartbreak alone would be a national tragedy. On the other end, President Qin replies with the cool precision of a CEO who's heard it all before. "Thank you for the heads up. I'll have security sweep the building immediately." Hearing this, Fang is practically drooling, his mind already a cesspool of filthy fantasies. "I'll rush right over to your company to help you personally, Sister Hung." Meanwhile, Qin is already on the line with her colleague. "Rome, get to the company now. Scope out anyone suspicious. If something's off, call the cops immediately." "Yes, President." Half an hour later, at Hasten Group, a girl glides through the entrance. The security guards trip over themselves to greet her. "Good morning," she offers a polite nod. That secretary Zio, Qin Hongyan's personal secretary, Jiao Rome, and she is absolutely breathtaking. As she strides toward the elevator, the guards can't stop blushing, their pervy little hearts practically on their sleeves. Upstairs, Rome suddenly bursts into the office. "Who are you? How did you get in here? What do you want?" The protagonist barely glances up. Dressed in a flawless suit, he radiates pure boss energy, calm, composed, dripping with aura. "Who are you?" he asks coolly. Rome adjusts her glasses with a flicker of pride. "I am President Qin's personal secretary, Zio Rome." Upon hearing this, Yi Chen gives her a long, curious look. Qin Hongyan is a woman, so why does she have a secretary like this? Isn't that usually a guy's preference? Is Qin Hongyan into women? Wow, the imagination on this guy. Rome slams her palms on the desk. "What are you smirking about? Answer me. What are you doing in our company?" The protagonist finally responds, dead serious. "I'm Yi, the new president of this group." The second Rome hears that, her panic mode activates instantly. "I'm so sorry, President Yi. I was way too rash. Of course, only you would have the key to this door. Please forgive me. President Qin just said a suspicious person was coming, so I..." Yi Chen barely acknowledges her, already focused on work. But internally, he's seething. It's the Wang family again. They're like a lingering ghost. "All right, you can leave." Rome nods softly, ready to bolt, when Yi adds casually, "Oh, and I heard President Qin is the #1 beautiful female president in Yao. When she gets here, tell her to come to my office immediately." Rome rushes to the restroom and dials Qin immediately. Across town, President Qin is flooring it toward Huison Group. "How is it? Any suspicious people at the company?" "Wrong, the suspicious person is President Yi. The new group president just walked in, and he specifically asked to see you." Qin is floored. "What? President Yi is already there." She slams the accelerator. "I need to get there now." 10 minutes later, in the CBD lobby, "Rome," Qin calls out. They lock step and head for the office. "Where is he?" "In the office. He wants to meet you immediately." As they walk, Qin notices female employees furiously touching up their makeup. Why is everyone so early today? The receptionist posted in the group chat, "The new CEO is here and he's super handsome." Everyone rushed over. Qin side-eyes her. "Oh, handsome." Rome's eyes literally sparkle. "More handsome than any celebrity. Super young, like 23 years old." Qin frowns. "So young. I became VP at 32 and that was rare. The president is 23. She turns to Rome. Tell everyone to act professional. Don't be love-struck. He's our president, he'll think we're amateurs. Rome's eyes gleam again. How could we possibly be worthy of a dominating CEO like him? Only you, President Chin, are his match. As they pass, employees whisper, President Yi specifically called you the #1 beautiful female president. Maybe he came here just for you. Don't be ridiculous, Chin says confidently. I've been in Yao's business circle for years. There's no man I can't handle. He's just a 23-year-old boy. Internally, she smirks. Nothing I can't resolve once I take action. Employees recall the time a billionaire tyrant was totally uncontrollable, until Chin stepped in for 2 minutes and turned him into a lapdog. Now, Chin is calmly applying lipstick. The employees nudge each other. Leave the door cracked. We want to see you tame the new president again. Make him kneel and tie your shoes. Chin finishes her touch-up and strides toward the office, radiating confidence. She has no idea the calm before the storm is over. A massive explosion is about to hit. She reaches the door. Come in. She opens it. A young man sits in a chair facing the window, his back to her. She hasn't seen his face yet. President Yi, I'm Vice President Chin Hongyan. Even from the side, his jawline is sculpted like a Korean drama star. Handsome, familiar, déjà vu. He slowly turns around. Outside, employees are peeking. Will he get a nosebleed from her beauty? Maybe he'll kneel and call her queen immediately. But the moment Chin sees his face, Jacques pure icy shock. It's Yi Chen asterisk. Her mind blanks, her knees buckle. She drops to the floor, kneeling, completely speechless, utterly stunned. Outside, the employees are frozen solid. Why did President Chin just kneel? Room is in shock too. The office door is wide open. Plot twist of the century. A female staff member wearing glasses peeking through a crack in the door, completely shocked as she wonders internally, how is this happening? It's not President Yi kneeling to President Chin. A close-up shows President Yi, a strikingly handsome man with dark blue hair, because every manhwa CEO needs that protagonist hair color, looking down with a serious expression. Suddenly, the heavy door is shoved open, exposing 3 female employees who had been eavesdropping, causing them to scream in terror like they just got caught sneaking snacks past their mom. Inside the luxurious office, the beautiful brunette, President Chin, is kneeling helplessly on the floor before President Yi, who calmly stands with his hands in his pockets and asks, President Chin, why are you kneeling to me the moment we meet? I really can't accept such a big gesture. He continues, if you can't accept it, then help me up already. Bro is enjoying this way too much. Internally, President Chin curses, damn Wang family. If not for them, I wouldn't have offended my boss. This is why we can't have nice things. While out loud, she apologizes profusely with her head bowed. I'm sorry, President Yi, I was wrong. Please forgive what I said yesterday. Kneeling down to meet her gaze, President Yi smirks slightly and says, Yesterday, oh, I remember now. Yesterday you said we were lovers, right? Suddenly, he pulls her into a tight, intimate embrace, causing her to let out a surprised gasp of AH as he holds her flush against him. As he notes internally that she smells so good and feels so soft. No wonder so many men are crazy about this woman. He teasingly asks her, I even heard I booked an island to ask you to be my girlfriend. Which island was that again? Man really said, let me gaslight you with your own lie. Flustered and feeling completely socially dead from embarrassment, she looks over his shoulder with a bright red face and stammers, I'm sorry, I was wrong. If the floor could open up and swallow her right now, she'd pay extra for express delivery. Letting go slightly, he looks at her gently and instructs, all right, get up first. As she stands up, looking away nervously like she just got caught peeking in the boys' locker room, he turns his back and orders, close the office curtains. If the staff see this, it won't look good, to which she obediently replies, yes. Girl is already down bad and she doesn't even know it yet. Now seated at his desk reviewing a document while she stands nearby holding her phone like an anxious intern, he remarks, President Chin, yesterday you said you wanted to cut off all my options in Yuncheng. Now I'm Huasheng Group's president, your boss. Looking up at her intensely with a piercing gaze that would make any shoujo manga FL faint, he challenges, I'd like to know, how are you going to block me now? Filled with regret, she explains, President Yi, I really never imagined someone of your status would go be the Wang family's live-in son-in-law. That's like finding out your local delivery driver is secretly a chaebol heir. Nobody saw this coming. I know my mistake can't be undone. However you decide to punish me, I'll accept it. Turning around to face the window, proudly showing off her curves, she offers herself up to his judgment, stating, if you want to slap me, I'll walk over and let you hit me. If you want to scold me, I'll stand here and listen. If you want to fire me, I'll pack my things and leave right away, and never appear before you again to upset you. She's really giving him the full, I accept my execution speech. Watching her, President Yi thinks to himself that this woman Chin Hongyan really isn't simple. She doesn't panic when something happens, she takes responsibility, doesn't make excuses, and doesn't shift the blame. She's basically a unicorn in the business world. He finally tells her, I'm not planning to fire you, which leaves her looking completely stunned like she just got hit by a truck made of plot twists. Resting his head on his hand in a relaxed posture, he explains, "Yesterday you were the only one who offered me a way out. If I really were just an ordinary live-in son-in-law, you would be my benefactor. You passed the vibe check when nobody else did." Moved to tears by his mercy, she smiles brightly and promises, "Thank you, President Yi. From now on I'll devote myself completely to serving you." Girl just unlocked a new faction and she's already farming loyalty points. Clasping his hands together firmly on the desk, he states, "You, I can forgive. But the others at the birthday banquet who tried to cut off my options, I won't spare a single one of them. It's arc time." Looking at him with deep devotion, she suggests, "President Chin, you can just call me Hongyan," to which he orders, "Hongyan, organize the information on everyone who tried to cut off my options yesterday and give it to me." As she turns to leave with a crisp yes, she thinks excitedly that President Yi is making his move and the Yuncheng business circle is about to be shaken up. She's already grabbing popcorn for the show. Half an hour later, a resume for the obnoxious Fang Kao is placed on the desk as Hongyan announces, "President Yi, all the information you requested is here." Recalling a blonde woman's harsh words from earlier boasting about Fang Kao's 10 billion net worth and calling him trash, President Yi asks, "I heard the Fang family is a first-tier family in Yuncheng with assets close to 10 billion. Hongyan quickly clarifies the truth. "They count as first-tier, I guess. 2 years ago they might have had 10 billion, but now they've shrunk badly. Their assets are probably only around 3 billion, not much better than the Wang family. Bro been coping hard with that 10 billion flex." She continues her report. "The Wangs recently had a project where they wanted us to finance 70 million, and they gave me a lot of benefits for it. I'll return every benefit they gave me and tell them to stop dreaming about working with Huisheng again." She also notes internally that Wang Jiaqi is blind, choosing useless Fang Kao over a whole hidden boss. Once she finds out who Yi Chen really is, she'll regret it so much her guts will turn green. The second-hand embarrassment is gonna be legendary. However, Yi Chen maintains his strict professionalism, stating, "Business is business. I won't exclude the Wang family from a deal because of my personal history with them. Bring me the proposal for that project. I'm not that kind of petty protagonist." When she eagerly offers, "Yes, I'll get it for you right away," he stops her with a warm look, saying, "No need, I'll go with you." At the exact same time down in the lobby, Fang Kao is standing around checking his phone, wondering to himself, "I wonder if President Chin has managed to catch that kid Yi Chen yet." Little does he know, the kid is currently running the whole building. A female staff member in a green jacket approaches him, recognizing him as young Master Fang. When he dismissively asks, "And you are?" she gets uncomfortably close, grabbing his arm and reminding him, "Young Master Fang, don't tell me you don't remember me. That really hurts. That night at Link's bar, you bought me drinks, then we went off together. You bullied me the whole night, remember?" Visibly disgusted, Fang Kao thinks to himself, "Damn, I must have really been drunk that night to take home someone this trashy. The 3M decisions really do hit different." But realizing she might be an asset, he puts on a fake smile and asks, "Oh, I remember now. You work at Huisheng." Wrapping an arm around her while thinking still this woman might be useful, he urgently tells her, "Honey, hurry and take me upstairs. Your President Chin is in danger." "Sir, you really think you're the main character, don't you?" 1 minute later, the elevator doors open and they overhear some female employees whispering excitedly in the hall, "Hey, listen to me." The moment she saw the president, she dropped to her knees. Can you believe it? She knelt in the first second. It was like watching a historical drama. Fang Kao immediately interrupts them, asking loudly, "Excuse me, where is President Chin now?" The bespectacled staff member tells him, "President Chin is in her office. Sir, do you have an appointment?" Ignoring her completely, Fang Kao aggressively shoves his arm past her, causing her to yell out, "Hey, what are you doing? Man really thinks he's in an action movie." He violently kicks the heavy office doors open with a massive bang. Bursting inside, he points an accusing finger and yells, Well, Yi Chen, you shameful, discarded son-in-law and thief. So you really are here." Bro came in with all the subtlety of a truck crashing through a wall. Hongyan, standing next to Yi Chen with a document in hand, looks at the intruder in shock and mutters, "Fang Kao." Misunderstanding the situation entirely, Fang Kao yells at Yi Chen, "Are you hiding here planning to get revenge on President Chin?" The confidence is truly impressive considering how wrong he is. An absolutely furious Hongyan glares daggers at him and demands, "Who let you in here?" Still trying to play the macho hero, Fang Kao confidently tells her, "Hongyan Jai, don't be afraid. I'll personally throw this piece of trash out for you so he's no eyesore." But before he can even blink, Hongyan delivers a vicious, echoing slap right across his cheek. With a completely flushed face and wide eyes burning with absolute rage, she screams at him, "Who's your Hongyan Jai? Call me President Chin." That slap was personal, professional, and satisfying all at once. Holding his violently slapped cheek, a bewildered Fang Kao stammers to Chin Hongyan, "Hongyan Jai, I mean, President Chin," because apparently his brain-to-mouth filter is permanently broken. Internally, he questions what is going on, realizing that Chin Hongyan and her staff don't seem surprised at all that Yi Chen is there, which should have been his first clue that he's missing something huge. Suddenly, a smug look of enlightenment crosses his face as he turns to Yi Chen and shouts, "I get it now. You're not here to get revenge on President Chin. You're here to be her bodyguard." Because in his world, that's the only logical explanation for a trash live-in son-in-law to be in a CEO's office. Yi Chen just stares at him, mentally exhausted by the idiot's rambling, wondering what kind of nonsense his brain is coming up with, probably questioning how someone this stupid even survived to adulthood. Completely convinced of his own delusion, Fang Kao connects the dots out loud. Just now they mentioned someone kneeling. It must have been Yi Chen kneeling to Chin Hongyan, and the reason he knelt was obviously to beg her forgiveness and ask to be her bodyguard, because in his mind, every interaction revolves around groveling. He mocks Yi Chen, stating that yesterday he thought he had some backbone for refusing the bodyguard offer, but today he woke up, dressed in a nice suit, and came crawling on his knees to beg to be her dog, which is both insulting and impressively wrong. Turning back to a seething Chin Hongyan, Fang Kao desperately urges, "President Chin, you can't agree to this. Yesterday at the banquet you said you were going to cut off all of Yi Chen's options, because he's committed to being wrong and loud about it." Eavesdropping at the door, the bespectacled staff member Rongrong breaks into a sweat, wondering if it's actually true that her boss said that, because office gossip is about to get wild. Unable to tolerate the idiot any longer, Chin Hongyan delivers a second brutal slap to Fang Kao's face, screaming, "Outrageous. When did I ever say that? Because some people just need to be silenced by force." She immediately barks orders at Rongrong to throw him out and never let him set foot in the company again, while also firing the employee who brought him upstairs, because consequences should be swift and painful. Escorted out by a stern security guard, a humiliated Fang Kao complains that as the young master of the Fang family, he's been publicly slapped twice, and in front of a live-in son-in-law of all people, because his priorities are clearly messed up. The guard simply tells him to leave because that's his job. Glaring back from the doorway, Fang Kao threatens Yi Chen, "Don't think that being Chin Hongyan's bodyguard means we can't touch you. Just wait. I'll make sure you can't eat, can't sleep anywhere but the street and end up in prison. Because when you've been slapped twice, you go all in on empty threats." Sitting in his car moments later, he grips the steering wheel, cursing that B*TCH Chin Hongyan for being nothing but a pretty face who slept her way to the top, because misogyny is his default setting when humiliated. He vows that once he completely wins Wang Jiaqi over, he will make Yi Chen kneel and beg, screaming, "I'll destroy you," because he's watched too many villain movies. Starting up the car with a wicked smirk, he plots to quickly tell the Wang family that the trash Yi Chen is now Chin Hongyan's bodyguard, because spreading misinformation is his only remaining skill. 1 hour later at the luxurious Zishan villa, old Madame Wang is completely shocked, asking, "What did you say? That discarded son-in-law Yi Chen became Chin Hongyan's bodyguard," because that's the last thing she expected to hear. Fang Kao smugly confirms he saw it with his own eyes and that Yi Chen was even fetching files for her, because he's committed to his delusion. Hearing this, Yi Chen's beautiful but arrogant ex-wife, Wang Jiaqi, looks completely stunned while her short-haired sister demands to know how that's possible and what makes him worthy, because in their minds, Yi Chen is worthless. Fang Kao stirs the pot further, claiming he heard from Huisheng's staff that Yi Chen dropped to his knees right away to beg for forgiveness, and that Chin Hongyan, who had her eye on him since yesterday, probably had a soft moment and agreed, because he's a master of making things up. Wang Jiaqi's face contorts into pure, unadulterated rage as she clenches her fists, screaming internally, "That bastard Yi Chen, he actually knelt for another woman," because her ego can't handle that. She stews in her bitter jealousy, recalling how she gave him so many chances to kneel and apologize, thinking she could have forgiven him, not divorced him, or not called the police if he had just begged, because she's rewriting history in her head. A dramatic close-up emphasizes her fury. "In 3 years of marriage, he never once knelt for me, and now he turns around and kneels in front of another woman," because apparently kneeling is the ultimate measure of love in her world. Her sister rubs salt in the wound, mocking her by saying she just wasn't charming enough, because siblings are the best at being cruel. Laughing along with their father, the sister boasts that if Yi Chen were her husband, she'd have made him kneel from the very first day and wash her feet every single day, because she's delusional about her own appeal. Gritting her teeth, Wang Jiaqi complains she was far too good to him these past 3 years, wishing for one more chance to make him kneel from morning to night, because she's obsessed with the idea of domination. She desperately begs her grandmother to cut all ties with Chin Hongyan for going back on her word, and to make her pay, because revenge fantasies are all she has left. Grandma Wang furiously slams her hand down, reprimanding her for talking nonsense, reminding everyone that their family's 70 million financing deal is still in Chin Hongyan's hands, making it impossible to treat her as an enemy, because business always trumps family drama. Her father smoothly chimes in, telling Jiaqi that while he knows she's jealous, she can't deny that President Chin is genuinely more capable than her. because sometimes the truth hurts. Throwing a massive, tearful tantrum, Jayaki screams that she doesn't care and threatens to go to the Huisheng group herself, prompting her grandmother to furiously order her to stay put, because that's not how you handle business. Grandma Wang then commands her son to call Qin Hongyan so she can speak with her directly, because when matriarchs want answers, they get them. With the glowing phone in hand, Grandma Wang puts on a stern face and confronts Qin Hongyan, stating she heard their live-in son-in-law became her bodyguard and sarcastically remarking that if she knew she had her eye on him, she would have handed him over half a year ago, because in her mind, people are assets to be traded. She demands an explanation for why Qin Hongyan went back on her promise to cut off his options, because promises are supposed to mean something. Back in her office, a slightly nervous Qin Hongyan replies that things aren't what she imagines, but apologizes for not being able to follow through on her promise, because she's caught between a rock and a hard place. Internally, she sweats, knowing that if the old madam found out this live-in son-in-law was actually the Supreme President Yi, she'd probably have a heart attack because that's information that could kill. Suddenly changing her tune, Grandma Wang smiles warmly, telling her they are on the same side and she can just keep the kid as a gift from the Wang family. A comment that causes Jayaki to absolutely lose her mind in the background, screaming that you can't just gift a person, because that's not how things work. Grandma Wang says she'll let the Yi Chen matter go, but presses on the 70 million deal, because money is what really matters. Regaining her absolute composure, Qin Hongyan confidently sips her tea and reveals she already discussed the project with President Yi, who finds it very interesting but wants to learn more, because she's a master of deflection. Delighted that the mysterious President Yi read their proposal, Grandma eagerly offers to send Jikyang to discuss it face-to-face, to which Hongyan agrees to arrange a time, because that's how deals get made. Handing the phone back, Grandma sternly warns Jikyang not to mess up this crucial impression with President Yi, because this is their big chance. Jikyang promises to satisfy him, but sinisterly asks if they are just going to drop Yi Chen's theft now that he's President Qin's man, because he's not ready to let go of that grudge. Grandma's face darkens as she orders him to keep digging for evidence, planning to use it to punish him or trade as a favor, because she's always thinking 2 steps ahead. Jikyang grins evilly, revealing he already found out Yi Chen sold the stolen watch to a gang thug, because of course he did. Smirking, Grandma tells him to get the evidence, declaring Yi Chen is just a dog and Qin Hongyan won't protect him, because she underestimates everyone. She then mercilessly insults the rest of the family for being useless, specifically targeting a trembling Jayaki, telling her she couldn't even hold onto a husband, and that her pretty face is a total waste, because Grandma doesn't pull punches. Unable to take the humiliation, the red-haired woman runs off crying, ignoring calls to stop, because sometimes you just have to leave. She hops into her black Audi and speeds down a winding road, furious that Yi Chen made her lose face and vowing to teach him a proper lesson, because blaming others is easier than self-reflection. Her tires screech to a halt in the dimly lit Huisheng Group underground parking lot, because dramatic entrances require screeching tires. Sitting in the driver's seat, her eyes widen in shock as she spots 2 familiar figures walking together, because the universe loves irony. The chapter ends on a tense shot of a handsome, serious Yi Chen walking side by side with a stunning Qin Hongyan, because sometimes the best revenge is just living well and looking good while doing it. Yi Chen looking strikingly handsome in a tailored navy suit walking alongside the stunningly beautiful brunette Qin Hongyan. The two are laughing and chatting intimately, completely oblivious to the storm of jealousy about to hit them. Watching them from a distance is Yi Chen's ex-wife Wang Jialin, whose bright orange hair frames a face twisted with absolute jealousy as she thinks to herself, "That bastard. After our divorce, he suddenly decides to dress like a male model." As Yi Chen and Hongyan walk through the dimly lit underground parking garage, an enraged Jialin suddenly steps in their path. Pointing an accusing finger at him, she screams, "Yi Chen, have you no shame? You actually went and became Qin Hongyan's lackey." A look of pure surprise crosses Yi Chen's face as he stops and mutters, "Wang Jialin," while Hongyan narrows her eyes, wondering internally, what does that stuck-up princess from the Wang family want now? Refusing to hold back, Jialin aggressively confronts them, her face flushed with anger as she shouts, "Yi Chen, I heard you got down on your knees and begged Qin Hongyan to take you back. Since you're so willing to toss your dignity aside, why didn't you ever get on your knees and beg me to forgive you back then?" Desperately trying to justify her past actions, she continues, "I handed you chance after chance. If you had just dropped to your knees and pleaded with me, you'd still be part of our Wang family right now." Yi Chen's expression hardens into an icy glare as he responds calmly but firmly, "You've got some nerve asking why I never knelt for you. Don't you think you're pushing it a bit too far?" Unloading his pent-up frustration, Yi Chen leans forward and shoots back, "You snuck off to a hotel with that scumbag Fang a couple days ago and slept with him behind my back. And you honestly believed I would get on my knees and beg you two for mercy." Jialin waves her hands dismissively, stubbornly trying to maintain the moral high ground as she argues, "What about after that? At the birthday party yesterday, I offered you another opportunity to kneel and apologize. If you had just bent the knee, I would have convinced Grandma to call off the divorce and you could have remained my husband. Refusing to back down, Jilin points a trembling finger at Hongyin and screams, and at Zizi Lake Hotel, if you'd knelt down and pleaded with me, I wouldn't have phoned the cops. It's the exact same action. Why are you willing to do it for her but not for me? I was your lawfully wedded wife. Is getting on your knees for your wife such a humiliating thing? Yi Chen stares at her with deep disappointment, the air around him practically freezing as he states, getting on my knees for my wife isn't humiliating. Doing it for a woman who cheated on me is. I was way too good to you these past 3 years. Completely unhinged by his logic, Jilin leans forward aggressively, her face red with fury as she yells, I knew it. My mistake was being too soft on you. That's exactly why you're so impossible to control now. The whole family blames me for not keeping you in line. With a live-in husband like you, I should have made you kneel and scrubbed my feet from day one. Before Yi Chen can even process her audacity, Qin Hongyan fiercely steps in and delivers a resounding slap straight across Jilin's cheek, leaving a bright red mark as Jilin cries out, AH. Towering over the shocked Jilin, Hongyan angrily reprimands her, declaring, you were the one who stepped out first and never once looked inward at your own behavior, and you still have the gall to speak like that. As a woman, where's your sense of decency? Holding her stinging cheek with tears welling in her eyes, Jilin whimpers, how dare you strike me? To which Hongyan glares back furiously, shouting, if I feel like hitting you, I'll hit you. Do I need to wait for a national holiday or something? Feeling completely humiliated, Jilin looks past Hongyan to Yi Chen with tear-filled eyes, crying out, you took my man away from me and now you're hitting me too. However, Yi Chen simply looks away, completely indifferent to her tears, and gently pats Hongyan on the shoulder to calm her down, quietly saying, let it go. Looking back at his pathetic ex-wife, Yi Chen coldly finalizes their detachment, telling her, leave. I'm no longer your husband, and I never will be again. This rejection pushes Jilin over the edge, and she screams defiantly, even if you were just a mutt my family fed for 3 years, if I decide I don't want you anymore, that doesn't mean I'm okay with just handing you over to somebody else. Yi Chen, I'm ordering you to get out of Husheng Group right this second. You are not allowed to work as Qin Hongyan's personal guard. Attempting to buy him out, she confidently offers, Qin Hongyan is paying you 200,000 a year, right? I'll give you 500,000. Hearing this pathetic offer, Hongyan bursts into mischievous laughter while Yi Chen awkwardly coughs into his fist. Smirking down at Jilin, Hongyan mocks her, ha, you honestly think 500,000 is enough to steal you away from me? Even if you tack on another zero, you still wouldn't come close. The realization hits Jilin like a truck, and she thinks in utter shock, wait, his bodyguard's salary isn't 200,000. It's 5 million. Has Qin Hongyan completely lost her mind? As Hongyan turns away and says, let's head out, a desperate Jilin lunges forward and grabs Yi Chen's arm, pleading, Yi Chen, hold on. Listen to me, you have to quit Huisheng Group today. Wang Xiaoji has already dug up proof that you sold that watch. Once he turns it over to the authorities, you're looking at prison time. Trying to use this as leverage, she desperately proposes, if you do what I say, ditch Qin Hongyan, come back to the Wang family and work as my personal bodyguard. I can make Wang Xiaoji back off and drop the whole thing. Yi Chen effortlessly pulls his arm from her grasp and looks back over his shoulder, calmly rejecting her by saying, I appreciate the offer, but I really can't take a job as your personal bodyguard. Opening his car door to leave, he delivers a final, brutal verbal strike. I can't guarantee your safety while I'm busy watching you sneak off to hotel rooms with other men. As Jilin gasps an offended, why you? Yi Chen settles into the driver's seat of the luxurious Porsche and boldly states, if Wang Xiaoji actually has evidence, he's welcome to take me to court however he sees fit. Unable to accept defeat, Jilin chases after the moving car, screaming into the exhaust fumes, Yi Chen, you don't have my permission to leave. Left entirely alone in the empty garage, a tear rolls down her face as she sulks in utter jealousy, thinking, Yi Chen is such a jerk too. He fully knows Qin Hongyan already has a boyfriend, yet he's still okay with being her side piece. This is infuriating. What does Qin Hongyan have that I don't? Seriously. The scene shifts dramatically to an establishing shot of the sun setting over Yuncheng, 7th Street, a notoriously rundown and chaotic slum area. The narrator explains that 7th Street is a famous slum where the poor live, and so do powerful figures. In Yuncheng, everyone in the underworld respects a man named Brother Melon, whose reputation dictates that, whether Yuncheng is chaotic or not, Brother Melon decides. If Brother Melon is carrying a bag, it's either a head or a knife inside. Inside a dimly lit, gritty room, the bruised and bandaged Wang Xiaoji nervously approaches the heavily tattooed boss with red braided hair, greeting him, Brother Melon. Taking a casual drag from his cigarette on a beat-up leather couch, Brother Melon smirks and replies, Young Master Wang, what an honor. Apologies for not coming out to welcome you personally. Getting straight to business, Xiaoji presents a sleek black box explaining, I've come because I'd like to propose a transaction, Brother Melon. This is a Richard Mille timepiece valued at over 5 million. I'm willing to let it go at a discounted rate of 4.5 million. He opens the box to reveal the dazzling diamond-encrusted watch, adding his sinister condition. However, I need you to tell anyone who asks that a man named Yi Chen sold it to you. Brother Melon leans in with a knowing grin, asking, "That fellow who left those bruises all over your face, that was this Yi Chen character, am I right?" Flushing bright red from embarrassment and anger, Shaeji clenches his fists and admits, "You've hit the nail on the head, Brother Melon. He used to be the live-in son-in-law married into my second uncle's household. To protect the family reputation, my relatives don't want to make a big public spectacle out of this. But I refuse to let this slide. I need to see him behind bars." Exhaling a cloud of smoke, Brother Melon tilts his head back lazily and rejects the offer, stating, "I can't get involved with that. Boss Liu gave us strict orders never to interfere in domestic disputes between families. You help someone out today, tomorrow they patch things up with their relatives, and suddenly we're the only bad guys left holding the bag." Furious, Shaeji frantically argues, "That's not going to happen. Yi Chen has already been kicked out of our Wang family. Who exactly is this Boss Liu you keep mentioning? Why does his opinion carry so much weight with you?" Instantly, one of Melon's green-haired lackeys steps forward aggressively, yelling, "Watch your tongue. Boss Liu is the man our Brother Melon answers to." Returning to his calm demeanor, Brother Melon explains, "Boss Liu showed me the way in this life. Without his guidance, there wouldn't be any Brother Melon sitting here today. So his instructions might as well be carved in stone as far as I'm concerned. You'd be better off taking your business elsewhere." Desperation completely taking over, Shaeji grits his teeth and shoves the watch box forward, shouting, "Brother Melon, I'll let you have it for 4 million even." Standing up to leave, Brother Melon remains unfazed, reminding him, "I already explained this to you. Boss Liu treats me like flesh and blood, and I follow his rules without question." Sweating profusely, Shaeji practically begs, offering an absurdly low price. 3 million. I'll sell you this watch for 3 million. You could turn around and flip it for a clean 2 million profit. This finally catches Brother Melon's attention. He freezes, his muscular tattooed arm halting with a firm hold on. Slowly turning his head back, his eyes glow an intense, greedy red as he declares with a sinister grin, "Boss Liu also taught me another lesson. In our line of work, you never turn your back on money. The sky can fall, the earth can crack, but turning a profit is what truly matters. Young Master Wang, you've got yourself a deal." Yi Chen speeding down a bright highway in his black Porsche. Sitting beside a quiet Qin Hongyan, Yi Chen stares straight ahead with a deadly serious expression, firmly ordering her, "From this point forward, you are not to lay a single finger on Wang Jialin unless I explicitly give you permission."